Chapter 183. The teacher in the reception room was excited, but after seeing Ping, a trace of doubt appeared on his face. Lord, what are you all doing here? As a sole king under the crown prince, Ping had a certain amount of fame. The teacher clearly recognized him. Ping laughed bitterly. I'm here to accompany them to register as teachers. Flanders said, We're here to register as teachers. As for these children, they're our disciples, so I hope that they can also enter the academy after we register. The teacher swept his gaze over the group and said, These children aren't very old, right? Now isn't the time to enter the academy. How about this? Soul Masters, follow me in for the test. If you all pass, then you can enter the academy. Generally speaking, the age to enter an advanced Soul Master Academy was around 18, and the younger ones were 16. At this moment, Tang San and the others didn't even look 15. They were really too young. Then let's take the test first. Do we do it here? Flanders asked casually. Flanders naturally didn't want to enter the academy just because he passed the test. Even if he did, he wanted to find out more about the academy first. If it didn't work, then he'd go to another academy. Everyone, please come in. The test will take place inside the academy. With that, the teacher led the group inside. Walking into the Blue Tyrant Academy, everyone felt that this place gave off a majestic feeling. A perfectly straight road led straight into the academy, with forests on both sides. At the end of the road, there was a huge field, and surrounding the field was a circle of 3-story buildings. Other than that, there weren't many buildings in the area. There were trees everywhere, and the lush greenery was very pleasing to the eye. When they first arrived, Ping had told them that the largest forest in Heavendo City was the Blue Tyrant Academy. It could be said that the academy was surrounded by a forest. As they walked along the path, everyone pointed at the Blue Tyrant Academy and compared it to the Heavendo Imperial Academy. The environment here isn't bad. Although it can't compare to the Heavendo Academy's mimicry cultivation, such a large forest should have a miraculous effect on cultivation. It should be much better than that small village in Shrek. Tangsen was quite satisfied with this place and nodded along the way. Most people expressed their approval, feeling that this place was not bad. On the other hand, Dai Mubai sighed. I don't think this place has the same intimacy as Shrek Academy. I wonder how the students here are like. Lin Feng smiled and said, It's just a change of environment. It's normal. You'll get used to it after a while. It was as if Soul Masters were naturally more suited to a forest environment. After everyone entered, they felt much more comfortable. Soon, the reception teacher brought everyone to a steepled building. Everyone, please wait here for a moment. The teacher will be here soon. After saying this, the teacher left. He was only responsible for leading the way. After leading them here, he had to return to the gate and continue waiting. Along the way, everyone noticed that the students of the Blue Tyrant Academy were similar to those of the Heavendo Academy. There were very few people walking on the streets. They were probably cultivating. While waiting, Ning Rongrong muttered, Why is this place called the Blue Tyrant Academy? I feel that this name is very strange. It's simple. Lin Feng smiled. To be able to open such a large academy in Heavendo City, they must have a powerful background. What would this Blue Tyrant Academy be if you read its name in two? I know. Ning Rongrong's eyes lit up. Blue Thanos. Lin Feng. Everyone. Ning Rongrong didn't notice the strange expressions on everyone's faces and continued to speak excitedly. This Blue Tyrant Academy's background must be that powerful Lord Thanos. Otherwise, why would the word tyrant appear in its name? Ning Rongrong's understanding was at the level of an enterprise. Everyone else's expressions were strange. Ping, on the other hand, felt as if he had grasped some super important information. At this moment, Lin Feng snapped. Why are you as dumb as a pig? What does Blue Thanos have to do with it? I'm talking about the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Isn't the abbreviation for this family's name Blue Tyrant? But I feel like this name is really lame. Isn't the Blue Dragon Academy better? I'm not a pig. It's just that Lord Thanos has left too deep of an impression on me. Stupid phone girl. I'm going to ignore you. Ning Rongrong harumphed, lightly before turning her head to the side. Everyone burst into raucous laughter. Only the Grandmaster's brows furrowed slightly, and he was suddenly struck by the urge to leave. If this place really was founded by someone from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, then it was most likely Lu Erlong. Lu Erlong was the Grandmaster's cousin and his true love, so he really didn't want to face her. If this place really was founded by Lu Erlong, then he really didn't know how to face her. In Lin Feng's eyes, the Grandmaster was a scumbag aside from his brilliant theoretical research. Even though he appeared to be quite pitiful right now, there was always something detestable about him. Bibi Dong loved him, and Lu Erlong also loved him. The former was due to external factors, and he didn't dare to fight for her because he was afraid. But the latter was completely due to him toying with Lu Erlong's feelings, and he didn't want to face her in the end. If Lin Feng had to say it, the Grandmaster wasn't worthy of either of the two people who loved him. Perhaps it was because he was banished from his family, or perhaps it was because he would never be able to become a soul elder. It was because of these two reasons that the Grandmaster felt inferior. But none of this was an excuse for his cowardice. He wasn't worthy. However, the Grandmaster's excellence was undeniable. Even after so many years, Bibi Dong and Lu Erlong still couldn't forget about the Grandmaster. Perhaps this was what a scumbag was like. At this moment, 3 middle-aged soul masters in their 40s walked in. They were the examiners for this examination. The 3 of them had serious expressions on their faces, and the leader of the group said, "The examination is very simple. There are only 2 requirements. First, your soul power must be at least rank 40. Second, you must be able to last at least 10 minutes against any one of us. The examination will be conducted one by one. I wonder who will go first." Hearing this, Flanders smiled. "I'll go first." He could tell that the 3 of them were only soul kings. Not to mention 10 minutes, he was a soul sage, and he could even take on 3 of them alone. As he spoke, he took a step forward, and then his soul power shook. In an instant, 7 beautiful soul rings appeared. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. Rank 78, agility type, soul sage, Flanders. Martial soul, cat eagle. Which teacher will be the one to teach me? Chapter 184. Advice? You're already a soul sage, and you still want us 3 soul kings to advise you? Give me advice, my ass. When Flanders revealed his soul rings, the 3 of them were astonished. A soul sage was actually applying to be a teacher in their academy? Was his brain kicked by a donkey? That's right. The 3 of them weren't surprised, but very confused. Soul sages could open their own academies. Even if they didn't have money, they could easily get some aristocrats to sponsor them. Joining their academy as a teacher? Wasn't he a fool? Although the 3 of them were complaining in their hearts, they smiled and said, Our academy has a rule. As long as you're a rank 60 soul master, you can join us directly. There's no need to go through any tests." "So that's how it is," Flinder nodded, then turned back and said, "Why are you still in a daze? Come over and show them your soul rings." What did that mean? While the 3 of them were still in a daze, the teachers behind Flinder, with the exception of Grandmaster, all of them activated their soul rings. Rank 63, Assault Type, Soul Emperor, Li Yusong. Martial Soul, Dragon Pattern Staff. Rank 66, Control Type, Soul Emperor, Lu Qibin. Martial Soul, Star Chess. Rank 71, Food Type, Soul Sage, Xiao Xin. Martial Soul, Candy Bean. Rank 76, Assault Type, Soul Sage, Zhao Wuji. Martial Soul, Herculean Diamond Bear. The remaining 4 teachers reported their strengths and names in order from the weakest to the strongest. Suddenly, there were so many soul rings in the room that the 3 soul kings in charge of the assessment were almost blinded by the dazzling light. They were all stunned. What kind of day is it today? Why are there so many powerful individuals applying to our academy? Has one of the academies been demolished? There were 3 soul sages, 2 soul emperors, and one of them was a food-type soul sage. Such a group would be considered strong even on the continent, let alone in Heavendo City. Their soul power undulations were very strong. If they hadn't deliberately controlled their soul power, the 3 soul sages might have been suppressed to the point where they couldn't move. Have he passed the test? Flanders asked with a smile. Of course. The three of them regained their senses. Seniors, please keep your martial souls. Looking at this scene, everyone sighed with emotion. Indeed, strength was the only pass on the continent. Back at the Heaven-Do Academy, everyone felt as if they were about to suffocate when Douluo appeared. Now that they were at the Blue Tyrant Academy, the attitude of these three changed as soon as Flanders and the others released their martial souls. At this point, the three of them had completely regained their senses. The teacher in the lead took a deep breath and said, I mean Shu, a rank 54 assault-type Soul King. Because your ranks are too high, we are unable to evaluate you. How about this? I will bring you to see our dean and let her evaluate you. Why did the Academy set the condition that all Soul Masters above rank 60 didn't need to take the test? It was very simple. It was very rare for a Soul Master of this level to choose to be a teacher. Soul Masters of this level usually possessed great strength and rich fighting experience. They were more than qualified to be teachers. Furthermore, they could earn more money by doing whatever they wanted. Now that they had encountered 5 of them at once, the Blue Tyrant Academy had wanted to seize this opportunity and had accepted all of them. Therefore, Inshu immediately expressed her sincerity and also paid enough attention to them, allowing the dean to evaluate them personally. All right, let's go then. Flanders smiled. The dean was already very respectful to them by personally evaluating them. Flanders could also make use of this opportunity to observe how the dean of this academy was like. If they could get along well, they would stay. If they couldn't, then they would leave. Just like that, the 3 teachers led by Inshu walked at the front and led everyone out of the steeple building. Then, they followed a small path to the back of the academy. This small path was very long and extended straight into the forest outside the main campus. The master asked doubtfully, Your dean lives in the forest? Shouldn't she be in the main campus? Inshu replied, The dean prefers peace and quiet. She usually lives in the forest alone. Some of the daily affairs in the academy are managed by the teachers. Usually, the dean will only appear during important times like school reopening and graduation. Of course, we also have to report to the dean if we encounter any major matters, just like the induction ceremony today. Inshu flattered everyone without leaving a trace, which made Flanders and the others feel very comfortable. After all, their induction ceremony was called an important matter. They still had a lot of face. Beside them, Yamping's brows were almost knitted together. From the looks of it, they should be able to enter Lanba Academy. In this case, his mission could be considered a failure. I see. The master nodded and didn't ask anything else. However, in his heart, he suddenly felt a little confused. If it was really her, the master wouldn't know how to face her later. Third brother, what do you think of the dean? Will she be as stingy as Dean Flanders? Or as generous as Fengge? Xiao whispered into Tang San's ear. At that distance, they were almost sticking to each other. Tang San was indeed a role model for men. He didn't answer a single question. Instead, he pushed Xiao Wu away. You're too close. Xiao Wu. After being speechless for a long time, Xiao Wu stuck her tongue out at Tang San. Blockhead, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Then, she ran directly to Ning Rongrong's side and started chatting with her. Tang San turned to look at Lin Feng. Fengge, my martial soul is obviously blue silvergrass, but Xiao Wu said I'm blockhead. Is she itching for a beating? Yes, just give her a beating, Lin Feng said while holding back his laughter. In the past, when they were at Nodding Academy, Xiao Wu often teased Tang San. Tang San didn't understand these things. Every time, he would come to Lin Feng, and Lin Feng would tell him. Xiao Wu was probably itching for a beating. He didn't expect this silly girl to remember it until now. Okay, Fengge, I'll give her a good beating tonight, Tang San thought to himself. He must beat Xiao Wu until she cries tonight. She was itching for a beating again. Fengge was right. Every time he beat up Xiao Wu, this girl would be quiet for a long time and wouldn't be so bored. Thinking of this, everyone followed Inshu and the other 2 to the depths of the forest. At this moment, a faint singing voice suddenly came from not far away. After the singing, a melodious voice was heard. "You wrote this song for me. Little gang, where are you?" The moment he heard this, Flanders's face was filled with relief. At the same time, there was also a trace of relief. On the other side, Master suddenly burst into tears and turned to leave. Everyone didn't understand what was going on. Little gang? Was he talking about Master? Chapter 185. Seeing that Master wanted to run away, Flanders grabbed him. "Little gang, you've been running away for 20 years. Do you still want to run away? You already knew, didn't you? You brought us here on purpose," Master said. "Of course not. It's just a coincidence." Actually, it was not a coincidence that they insisted on coming to Lanba Academy. Flanders also guessed that Lu Erlong was here, so he brought everyone here. Of course, he would not admit it on the surface. "Let's go. Even if it's for the children, don't run away anymore." Flanders dragged Master inside without any explanation. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. They did not understand what was going on, especially the three teachers of Shu. What did this mean? Did they know the dean? Ning Rongrong and the others looked at Lin Feng and his siblings. After all, among them, they had the most contact with Master. Xiao Wu looked at Tang San, and Tang San looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng cleared his throat and said, "It should be the story of a scumbag. Master is a scumbag. Someone loves him, but he doesn't want to love back. Everyone, that's it. What else? Why would she love Master? Why would Master not want to love back?" Ning Rongrong quickly asked. "Fengge, how did you know? And what does scumbag mean, Fengge?" Xiao Wu also asked. Hearing this, Lin Feng felt a headache coming on. These little girls should not talk about these love affairs with them. They were so gossipy. If Zhu Zhuqing was not so calm, he would probably ask too. Looking at Tang San and the others, they did not even have the intention to ask. The comparison was clear. Lin Feng would not say it even if he knew the situation. After all, Master did not tell him. After thinking for a while, he said directly, "What's the hurry? We'll meet him later. You can ask him yourselves. As for what a scumbag means, you can guess it yourself." Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong immediately started discussing the definition of a jerk. Xiao Wu said, "The scumbag that Fengge is talking about must be a man with an unshaven beard. Master, when you were in Nodding City, you didn't care about your appearance." Ning Rongrong said, "I think it means that he's not strong enough." Fengge said that Grandmaster is a scumbag, but Grandmaster is only a sole Grandmaster. He's definitely a scumbag. Zhu Zhuqing didn't say anything. She didn't think it was a good word. The group continued forward for another 100 meters, and the trees gradually became sparse. A thick tree was placed in front of everyone, and a sign was hung on top of it. A line of words was written on it. "Restricted area of the academy, entry only." Without stopping, Flanders grabbed the Grandmaster and continued forward. Everyone realized that after passing through this tree, their line of sight widened. This was a small lake that was less than 50 meters in diameter. There was a simple thatched cottage by the lake, and there were many flowers around it. At this moment, a beautiful woman in her 30s was holding a water bottle and watering the flowers. She was Lu Erlong, who had a hot figure and a fiery temper. When Flanders and the Grandmaster arrived, Lu Erlong was so stunned that she dropped the water bottle that she was watering the flowers. In the next second, before the three teachers of Shu could say anything, Lu Erlong dashed in front of the master in an instant. This speed shocked everyone. Even Lu squinted his eyes. The blue lightning tyrant dragon martial soul was indeed a top-notch martial soul. She had the strength of a soul sage, but she had the fighting strength of soul Douluo. How terrifying! Xiao Gang, is it really you? I'm not dreaming, right? Lu Erlong looked at the Grandmaster and said with a trembling voice. Tears had already rolled down her cheeks, and she was so emotional that she couldn't control herself. At this moment, Lu Erlong didn't care about anything else. She only had the Grandmaster in her eyes. However, the Grandmaster didn't say anything. He looked at Lu Erlong's exquisite face and couldn't say anything for a long time. Flanders scratched his head awkwardly and said bitterly, "Erlong, are you okay?" The so-called Golden Triangle was just a triangle in friendship. In love, Flanders was the third party. Flanders also loved Liu Erlong very much in his heart. However, Liu Erlong still chose Xiao Gang in the end, and he could only give them his blessings. After being stunned for a while, Liu Erlong tilted her head and said, "Boss Fu, long time no see. You haven't changed at all. You're still the same." The corner of Flanders's mouth became even more bitter. "I'm old, but you're still as beautiful as before." Flanders continued, "Let me introduce you. This is Xiao Xin, and these people are my Shrek Academy's teachers and students. They saw your academy's signboard and came to apply. I didn't expect this academy to be opened by you. What a coincidence." After saying that, he looked at the crowd and said, "This is Liu Erlong. Some of you should have heard of her. She's the last member of the Golden Triangle." Hearing Flanders say that he was here to recruit teachers, Liu Erlong was stunned. She suppressed the excitement in her heart and asked, "What's going on with your Shrek Academy? Why are you doing so badly?" "It's not that we're doing badly before." Flanders quickly explained what had happened. On the other hand, Ping was already disheartened. This Blue Tyrant Academy was definitely going to be joined. He had heard of the Golden Triangle before. Now that the Golden Triangle was together, it was impossible to separate them. Just as he was feeling depressed, Liu Erlong said, "Heaven Do Imperial Academy. What a good school. That Prince Xuexing is really too much. Boss Fu, don't say anything else. I'll leave the Blue Tyrant Academy to you. From now on, you'll be the principal of the Blue Tyrant Academy. You have to beat up that Heaven Do Imperial Academy." Hearing this, everyone was shocked. She's sending someone to school without saying anything. Wasn't this a little too careless? Even Flanders was stunned. Although he knew that Liu Erlong was a straightforward person, this was still too sudden. Liu Erlong continued, "All right, since Boss Fu is the principal, the Blue Tyrant Academy will be changed to Shrek Academy. Teacher Yin Shu, please go back and announce that tomorrow's assembly will be held. I want to change the name and transfer the position of principal. Also, have the cafeteria prepare a banquet on the second floor. I want to hold a welcoming dinner for them." "Yes, principal." Yin Shu suppressed the shock in her heart and left with the other two teachers. As for Ping, his mind was in a mess. He went to the academy to apply for a teacher position, but in the end, he became the principal. What kind of miraculous thing was this? What could he say? Since such a ridiculous thing had happened, Ping had nothing to say. He didn't have the face to stay here, so he used the excuse that he was an outsider and left. Chapter 186. The Blue Tyrant Academy. No, it should be called the Shrek Academy now. At this moment, Liu Erlong and Flanders were discussing some important matters regarding the academy in a private room on the second floor of the cafeteria. The handover of the academy wasn't something that could be done on a whim. There were many things that needed to be said. In fact, Flanders didn't have any intention of becoming the academy's dean, but since Liu Erlong wanted him to be, he naturally wouldn't refuse. After some discussion, everyone more or less understood the situation of the Blue Tyrant Academy. Firstly, the forest was the largest forest in Heaven Do City. It was considered a resource for the academy, and students could cultivate faster there. The other facilities weren't as good as the Heaven Do Imperial Academy, but they weren't too far off. They could provide excellent education for the students. The academy had been established for 10 years. During this time, they only recruited commoner soul masters. Because of this, the quality of the students' martial souls was inferior, but they were all very hardworking. In the previous Continental Elite Academy tournament, they had obtained a good result of being in the top 8 and eliminated the Heaven Do Imperial Academy's second team. After knowing this, Tang San and the others were quite happy. Although this place couldn't compare to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy, the conditions were still good. They were confident that they could all become soul elders before the tournament began. Dai Mu Bai even had a chance to become a soul ancestor. After the discussion, everyone focused on eating. During this time, Liu Erlong's burning gaze made Grandmaster feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. He quickly found an excuse to leave. Before he left, he called Tang San along. It seemed that he needed to find someone to vent his pain. Otherwise, it would be very uncomfortable to keep it in. Tang San was the perfect person to be Grandmaster's disciple. Seeing this scene, Everyone was filled with curiosity, but Lu Erlong's expression turned gloomy. Why aren't you chasing after him? Aren't you afraid that he'll run away? Flanders asked with a smile. Since he's here, I won't let him run away again, Lu Erlong hatefully said. Although everyone was curious, they didn't tactfully ask for the reason. However, Lu Erlong seemed a little sad. She muttered, It's been 20 years, but he still isn't willing to accept me. Is the opinion of others really that important? Hearing this, and combining it with what Lin Feng had said before about some people loving master and scumbags, they had a rough idea of the story in their hearts. At the same time, they were cursing the master in their hearts. Lu Erlong loved him so much and waited for him for 20 years, but he still didn't accept it. What a scumbag. If it weren't for the fact that Lin Feng knew that Lu Erlong truly loved the master, he would have advised her to find someone else. In the original work, the master dawdled for 20 years and finally got together. So what was the 20 years before that? Wasn't that nothing? What unequal status? I'm a weakling, you're a genius. I'm not worthy of you. You're my cousin, and I'm your cousin. I can't marry you. What's the point? If the great master continued to run away, even Lin Feng would think highly of him. If they got together, then the first 20 years would be a joke. Now, wasn't the master still a weakling? Weren't the two of them still cousins? If he agreed now, what was the difference between agreeing now and agreeing in the past? Could it be that the 20 years of waiting was a test? While Lin Feng was thinking about this, the great master outside had already begun to complain to Tang San. He talked about the story of wandering the Jianghu with Flanders and Lu Erlong more than 20 years ago. He also talked about how after they got married, they were rejected by the elders and then forcibly separated. He even talked about how he wanted to commit suicide at that time and how he deliberately avoided Lu Erlong even though he knew that she was looking for him. Xiaoyan knew that the river was full of ups and downs. Don't bully a poor young man. At that time, the great master didn't have any thoughts of changing and silently accepted his identity as a trash. He even wanted to commit suicide. It was really ridiculous. And after studying martial souls for so many years, could it be that there was no way to change his mutated martial soul? Could it not be changed? Or did he not want to change? In any case, Lin Feng himself had studied martial souls for so many years and found that mutated martial souls were actually very special existences. If he used a different cultivation method from ordinary soul masters, there might be a miraculous effect. It was common knowledge in the soul master world that there were good and bad mutated martial souls. The good ones would become extremely strong, and the bad ones would become extremely weak. But in Lin Feng's opinion, mutated martial souls were only good. If you thought it was bad, it meant that you hadn't found a suitable cultivation method. The great master's Luo Sanpao was actually a very special martial soul, in Lin Feng's opinion. It actually had its own thoughts and could even manifest itself as an independent existence. Lin Feng guessed that the reason why the great master couldn't break through to Soul Elder was because his cultivation method was wrong. His mutated martial soul could be let Luo Sanpao cultivate by himself. Then he would also cultivate. If a soul beast and a human cultivated together, there should be a miraculous effect. And Luo Sanpao's mutated martial soul could actually be seen as a soul beast. And what would happen if a soul beast cultivated? It would become stronger and mutated. If the great master could find a suitable cultivation environment for Luo Sanpao and provide it with treasures, Luo Sanpao might break through and mutate, causing the great master's martial soul to mutate. Other mutated martial souls should be similar. After all, martial souls that could mutate usually had innate soul power and could cultivate. As long as they could find the corresponding method to become stronger, they could become stronger. These were only Lin Feng's guesses at the moment. Whether they could be implemented or not would be discussed in the future. At the same time, in the palace, Xue Qinghe received Yi Yangping's report and knew that Flanders' group had joined the Blue Tyrant Academy. It's a little difficult. The Blue Tyrant Academy is backed by the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan. Xue Qinghe muttered, then decided to find an opportunity to contact them. After all, he was very interested in Black Tiger Ah Fu and the Thanos behind him. He had investigated for many years, but he couldn't find out which faction Thanos belonged to. If he could take him under his wing, or directly take the Blue Tyrant Academy under his wing, it would be an extremely good thing. On the other side, in a study in the palace, the Emperor of the Heaven Do Empire, the Snow Knight Emperor, was sitting here. There were two titled Douluo standing in front of him. They were both titled Douluo that the Heaven Do Empire had nurtured in secret. They were the rank 94 Assault type Iron Teeth Douluo and the rank 92 Agility type Underworld Wolf Douluo. At the same time, they were the ones who went to help Douluo when he asked for help. Now, they had come to the study to report the matter of Douluo being attacked, as well as the matter of him constantly being provoked afterwards. Damn it, the Martial Spirit Palace has gone too far. The Snow Knight Emperor slammed the desk and cursed in a low voice. There was no need to think too much. This was definitely an attack by the Martial Spirit Hall. The Martial Spirit Hall was becoming more and more unbridled recently. Chapter 187. Emperor Snowy Knight didn't have a good impression of the Martial Spirit Hall. In particular, the Martial Spirit Hall had been causing trouble for him in recent years. However, those were all trivial matters, such as the beating of the city lord of Kree City and the murder of a noble in Kuwayan City. However, he knew that there had to be more to it than that. All of the information he knew came from people who had connections in Heaven Do City. There were also many things that had happened in secret, and he wasn't aware of them. Emperor Snowy Knight didn't pay much attention to these matters. After all, they were all trivial matters. However, a guest official of the Heaven Do Empire had been attacked outside of Heaven Do City. This was a matter that concerned the foundation of the Empire, and Emperor Snowy Knight had to investigate this matter thoroughly. Under his orders, the Heaven Do City garrison immediately launched a thorough investigation of all suspicious people in the city. Titled Douluo even secretly went to the Martial Spirit Hall to find Ing Luin Douluo. In reality, the Palace Master of Heaven Do City's Martial Spirit Hall was the Platinum Bishop, Salus, but that was only on the surface. Ing Luin Douluo was still secretly in charge. This was something that all of Heaven Do City's titled Douluo were aware of. Douluo found Ing Luin Douluo in a room in the Martial Spirit Hall, and the first thing that came out of his mouth was an interrogation. Ing Luin, how dare you attack Douluo outside of Heaven Do City? Ing Luin replied in an indifferent voice, "What's the point? You know that it can't be me, so why come here?" Ing Luin was indeed very powerful, but that was only when the opportunity was right. He wouldn't attack unless he was confident in his chances. If he did, he would either be severely wounded or killed. Furthermore, he wasn't very powerful in direct combat, and Tai was aware of that. When Douluo had been attacked, the masked man had appeared from the front and suppressed Douluo in a direct confrontation. That clearly wasn't Ing Luin's style. You must know who it is. Tell me. If you don't tell me today, it looks like we're going to have to fight. Tai said. The branches of the Martial Spirit Palace were spread all over the continent, and their information channels were the most up-to-date in the entire continent. They definitely knew the news, which was why Tai had come this time. My Martial Spirit Palace doesn't know about this, but my guess is that the masked man has something to do with the riot in the Setting Sun Forest, Ing Luin guessed. A riot in Sunset Forest? This happened not long ago, and Douluo seemed to have been in the Setting Sun Forest at that time. Coupled with the fact that Douluo had been attacked, it seemed like Douluo had not told them the truth. You Martial Spirit Palace should restrain yourselves. Otherwise, you won't be able to open the Sacred Hall. Tai snorted coldly and quickly rushed towards the Prince Mansion. Ing Luin's brows furrowed slightly. Schwetching has seemed to be paying more attention to Shrek's 7 monsters, and he had to report this to the Pope. On the other side, Taya quickly found Douluo was a titled battle pet warrior. As long as they didn't try to hide their strength, they would be able to sense each other. Douluo didn't mention what had happened in the Setting Sun Forest earlier. On one hand, the masked man's identity was mysterious, and he wanted to investigate in secret. On the other hand, it was embarrassing to talk about it. However, he had already lost his face. As for the masked man's identity, there was no need to keep it a secret. Therefore, when Iron Fang came to visit, He roughly explained what had happened in the setting sun forest. Of course, he embellished the story when he told it. At least according to Douluo, Linfeng had taken a fancy to his soul beast and wanted to snatch it away. As for the riot in the setting sun forest, Douluo really didn't know what had happened, so he couldn't say anything about it. At this point, Tai had found 3 clues. First, this masked man had a grudge against Douluo, so he tried to kill him. Second, this masked man's martial soul seemed to be able to change. He could change it into a spear or a staff. Third, the masked man's identity was unknown, and he was very strong. He was at least rank 94, and they couldn't rule out the possibility that he was from the martial spirit palace. With these 3 clues, they couldn't find Linfeng at all. The higher-ups had come to a standstill. As time passed, this matter would be left unsettled. However, the city guard were still in the process of conducting all sorts of investigations. Many spies from the Douluo Empire were caught, one by one. The city was under martial law. Even the Blue Tyrant Academy sent people to conduct a search. Liu Erlong was puzzled. Heavendo City was perfectly fine. Why was it under martial law all of a sudden? The entire city was being searched. Flinder hurriedly told her about how the poisoned Douluo had been ambushed, as well as how he had been played for a fool. Who was this person? Did you see him? Liu Erlong asked curiously after sending the people searching the city away. We didn't see him. However, I heard from the 3 teachers that he was a mass title battle pet warrior Douluo. He was very strong. Flanders said, although Linfeng's clone had been fighting at the foot of the mountain, close to the Heavendo Academy, Flanders and the others hadn't seen the battle. If they had, they might have connected the clone to Thanos. After all, the lightning wings were too eye-catching. Hearing the 2 mention the masked man, Tang San and the others began to discuss excitedly. That masked man is very strong. He was able to suppress poison Douluo. I think he's as strong as His Majesty Thanos. Xiao Wu was the first to voice her opinion. His Majesty Exterminator Overlord is obviously more powerful. That one strike of his sent the king of the forest, the Titan ape, flying. He's definitely much more powerful than this guy. Ning Rongrong said firmly. She was a die-hard fan of Thanos. Ever since she saw that shocking staff strike in the Star Do Great Forest, Ning Rongrong had engraved that scene into her mind. Yes. I think His Majesty Slayer Overlord is still the best. Oscar followed up with a word of admiration. At the side, Linfeng listened to the crowd praising him. It was quite interesting. He listened quietly with a smile on his face. Ning Rongrong suddenly asked, Feng, who do you think is stronger between the 2 of them? Do you even need to ask? Linfeng laughed. Of course they're both strong. I think that both of them are extremely handsome and powerful. They're definitely very rich. Tang San was slightly suspicious. Back in Noden City, Linfeng had let the students praise him like this. Could it be that Feng learned all these praises from His Majesty Thanos? Feng, keep bragging. You haven't even seen their faces. How do you know that they're handsome and rich? Ning Rongrong expressed her doubts. Linfeng said calmly, why can't I say it when I haven't seen them? They're so strong. They're as handsome as me. Everyone was speechless. Chapter 188. The search lasted for 3 whole days, and Heavendo City remained under martial law. However, this didn't affect the Blue Tyrant Academy much. The next day, the Academy's name change and handover ceremony began. That morning, Liu Erlong officially handed over the position of Dean to Flanders and renamed the Blue Tyrant Academy to the Shrek Academy. Tang San and the others also joined the Academy. According to the Master's instructions, everyone had a 7-day break to familiarize themselves with the Academy and play in Heavendo City. Linfeng knew that the Master couldn't train them at the moment. Liu Erlong's relationship problems were giving him a headache. However, Tang seemed to have enlightened him yesterday. This week should be the time for him to slowly accept Liu Erlong. Douluo didn't come to capture Tang San like he did in the original novel. He was clearly too worried about the attack and didn't have the time to come. That afternoon, just as everyone was familiarizing themselves with the new Shrek Academy, Linfeng said a few words to Flanders and the others before leaving. Now that everyone had settled down, nothing major would happen in Heavendoe City. It was time for him to go out and obtain his 8th soul ring. This time, his goal was the extreme north. The people of the star Luo Empire were more ferocious, and the soul beasts they were more ferocious. It didn't have the gentle feeling of the north. Just like Daming and Erming, if a high-level soul master entered the depths of the forest, it would advise them to leave. However, in the south, you'd probably be surrounded as soon as you entered. Thus, for safety's sake, it was better to go to the extreme north. When he was stronger in the future, he'd go to the star Luo Empire. With this thought in mind, Lin Feng quickly rushed north with Xiaoying. Xiaoying was rather happy in the academy's forest. However, it was still a forest in the city, so it wasn't as comfortable as in the wild. Thus, Xiaoying was very happy to be brought out this time. Furthermore, Lin Feng had to take it with him. Xiaoying's transformation skill could fool a soul sage, but it couldn't fool Douluo. If he stayed by Lin Feng's side, he could help cover for him. If he left Xiaoying alone, it would be bad if it ran out of playfulness, so it was better to bring it along. As for Xiao Wu, she had Tang San, the main character, to protect her, so she would be fine. Lin Feng did not have to worry about her either. The extreme north was still quite far away. It was even further north in the Heavendoe Empire. It was extremely cold there, and very few people lived there. Lin Feng flew all the way in extremely fast speed. It only took him 3 days to arrive at a big city in the north, Ice Desert City. The temperature here was actually quite suitable. It was still habitable. During the day, it could be around 10 degrees Celsius. As they walked further north and crossed the North Seal Mountain not far away, the temperature plummeted. On the other side of the mountain range, there were no big cities. At most, there were some small towns. The houses there were different from the ones here. It was the kind that snowed all year round. Lin Feng inquired about some information in Ice Desert City before continuing north. In fact, Ice Desert City didn't know much about the north. They only knew that there were very few people there, and that most of the soul beasts there were ice type. Lin Feng mainly obtained a map here. It marked some northern towns. If he wanted to drink a cup of hot tea or something, he could go to those places. However, Lin Feng didn't stay for too long. After crossing the North Seal Mountain, the temperature had dropped below 0, but it was nothing to Lin Feng. He lay on Xiaoying's warm back and was very relaxed. Meow. Suddenly, Xiaoying let out a meow. Lin Feng said in annoyance, "You're addicted to pretending to be a cat. You're already a big leopard, but you're still meowing like a cat." Meow. Xiaoying felt slightly wronged. Lin Feng didn't care too much. He knew that Xiaoying was meowing to remind him that they had reached the extreme north. At a glance, it was really 1,000 miles of ice and snow. This was a snow-white world. Huge, towering coniferous trees made Lin Feng deeply feel the shock of the north. This was the border of the northern forest. Lin Feng said, "Let's go down. It's dangerous in the sky." The soul beasts in the north were very fast. If they flew in the sky, it was very easy to be ambushed. So Lin Feng decided to go down from below. As soon as they landed, Xiaoying naturally turned into a kitten and jumped onto Lin Feng's shoulder. Lin Feng. He was now sure that Xiaoying was addicted to pretending to be a cat. "You're a wind shadow leopard. Can't you have some backbone? You're so funny." Shaking his head, Lin Feng stepped into this snow-white world. At this moment, in Heavendoe City, it was said that the matter of Lin Feng attacking Douluo was gradually being suppressed. Douluo's daughter, Yin, told him that Tang San easily neutralized her poison and that he looked down on her jade-scaled snake poison. How could Douluo tolerate this? In addition, he was in a bad mood after being teased. He immediately ran to the Shrek Academy and captured Tang San like in the original work. If Lin Feng knew, he would definitely complain that the protagonist's halo was awesome. Previously in Nodding City, he deliberately didn't let Tang San meet the master, but they still met in the end. Furthermore, when he helped Tang San obtain his 3rd soul ring, he didn't think that the external attachment soul bone would exist. He didn't expect it to mutate in the end. Furthermore, because of the mutation, his external attachment soul bone quickly fused with his body and didn't require any external pressure or anything. Now, he had been taken away by Douluo. This protagonist aura was truly unparalleled. Tang San was a master of poison. Coupled with his intelligence, there was no need to worry about him dying. This was another opportunity for him. Lin Feng couldn't be envious of this protagonist's behavior, but he didn't need to be envious. Lin Feng, who had the system, was his own protagonist. Tang San was captured, and the newly established Shrek Academy was a little chaotic. Xiao Wu, especially, was in a mess and didn't know what to do. If Lin Feng was here, she would know to look for Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng wasn't here now, and Tang San was captured. Xiao was really helpless. However, she quickly calmed down. Lin Feng taught her that the more chaotic the situation was, the calmer she had to be. Only in this kind of situation could she make the best decision. A group of people quickly analyzed the situation. The most likely person to do this was Douluo. Then, the master and the others went to the prince's residence to look for Douluo. After discovering that he wasn't there, they started to look everywhere. Not to mention the situation in Heaven Do City. Lin Feng found a very interesting soul beast in the northernmost forest. Lin Feng had never seen this soul beast before, nor had he seen any records of it in books. Lin Feng named it a monster. A monster was a human-shaped soul beast. When it discovered an enemy, it would shout and charge at them. Did you think it would directly charge at you? If that was the case, it wouldn't be interesting. It wouldn't charge at you. Instead, it would stay a distance away from you and act like it was about to run over. Then, it would shout and scare you. Moreover, they were soul beasts that lived in groups. There would be more than 10 of them at a time. They would shout and not come over. Their voices were very brainwashing, which made Lin Feng very interested. Chapter 189. The soul power undulations of this group of monsters were very mysterious. Lin Feng caught a few and studied them for a while. In the end, Lin Feng discovered that humans could emit the cries of these soul beasts as long as they slightly changed their soul power undulations. Lin Feng made a few cries, which made Xiaoying feel disgusted. However, Lin Feng's face was full of joy because these cries could increase a soul master's cultivation speed. Under the vibration of the true sound waves, the soul power in the body became extremely docile, and the effect of meditation increased. It wasn't obvious, only less than 5%, but it was a very terrifying number over time. The extreme north was really mysterious. Not long after entering the forest, he encountered a group of 1,000-year soul beasts that gave him a pleasant surprise. If this discovery was spread throughout the continent, Lin Feng's name could be passed down for eternity. Why was it only discovered now? And why was it discovered by Lin Feng? In fact, this wasn't a coincidence, but a necessity. Were there soul masters from the extreme north? Of course there were, but there were very few of them, and most of them didn't dare to go deep. This group of monsters were all over 5,000 years old, and they were also soul beasts that lived in groups. Their cries were very powerful, giving people the feeling of a 10,000-year soul beast. Soul sages would probably be scared away, so it was very difficult for ordinary people to get close to study these monsters, and this kind of soul beast wasn't even known. Furthermore, Lin Feng's method of controlling soul power was unique. The accelerated cultivation method that he taught Tang San, and the rest was only a small part of what he had mastered. Lin Feng himself had mastered even more. After encountering the monsters this time, Lin Feng felt that it was interesting and listened to their cries for a while, so he could keenly discover that these cries were unusual. Lin Feng remembered this discovery, and he could teach Tang San and the rest when he returned. Most importantly, he could make a soul tool that could emit sound waves. This way, they wouldn't have to shout when cultivating in this kind of sound wave environment. Shouting might disturb one's mind, so it could be changed to infrasound mode as long as one controlled their soul power fluctuations well. Thinking of this, Lin Feng felt like he was doing scientific research in the world of Douluo. In fact, the soul tool technology on Douluo's continent wasn't bad. Apart from spatial soul tools that had been passed down from ancient times, many other things were made from soul tools. For example, electric lights, speakers, microphones, and so on. Many of the equipment in the soul dueling arena were made of soul tools. This was actually a type of technology tree, but the source of power was soul power. With this thought in mind, Lin Feng didn't stay any longer and continued to walk deeper into the forest. Because soul masters rarely came to the extreme north, there were many more soul beasts here than in the Stardew Great Forest. 10,000-year soul beasts were everywhere. Perhaps it was because they had never seen a human before, but these soul beasts were very curious about Lin Feng's arrival. They tailed him from afar and didn't attack. Of course, not all soul beasts were so friendly. After walking for about 5 or 6 minutes, a 30,000-year ice crystal tiger jumped out. It didn't say anything and directly pounced at Lin Feng. This tiger's snow-white fur was very beautiful. It had amber eyes, and the word king on its forehead looked very handsome under the sunlight. Roar! It rushed in front of Lin Feng and pounced, opening its bloody mouth at the same time. This big cat is still a bit domineering. Lin Feng smiled, jumped lightly, and arrived at the top of the tiger's head. Then, under its puzzled gaze, he punched its head. Bang! With a solid punch, the ice crystal tiger was beaten to the ground. It was dizzy and couldn't move. Lin Feng didn't care much and continued to walk in. Ding! After a swift battle, the host knocked out the 34,215-year-old beast ice crystal tiger. Battle experience increased slightly. Experience plus 43859. Hearing this notification, Lin Feng frowned. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have leveled up so quickly. When he was at rank 70, fighting a 30,000-year-old beast gave him more than 100,000 experience points. Now, he only had a little more than 40,000 experience points. The drop was too much. The experience points given by the 10,000-year-old beasts were actually still okay. Those 100-year and 1,000-year-old beasts were even worse. Lin Feng couldn't get any experience points anymore. However, he didn't think too much about it. When he obtained another soul ring, his incarnation strength would be comparable to 2 titled Douluo. At that time, the speed at which he gained experience points would be very fast. Lin Feng's requirements for the 8th soul ring were very simple. It had to be a soul beast that was old and had outstanding attack power. Only then would he be able to obtain a big killing move. Moreover, if he had a big killing move, even if he met a rank 97 Super Douluo, Lin Feng would still dare to fight. Thinking about it, Lin Feng quickly searched the extreme north. There were really many soul beasts in the extreme north. He casually walked in the depths and saw several 10,000-year soul beasts wandering around. He could even sense the aura of a 100,000-year soul beast. Of course, Lin Feng wanted a 100,000-year soul beast. However, a soul beast vitality was much stronger than a soul master's. It would take a lot of time to kill it. And in the depths of this forest, if he was entangled by a 100,000-year soul beast, it would be hard to say. After all, a 100,000-year soul beast generally had a consummate skill, such as Daming and Erming's domains. If a strange soul skill were to trap him, he would be in danger. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't consider a 100,000-year soul beast for the time being. Suddenly, a strange, angry roar came from the depths of the cave. It seemed to be a cow, but it also seemed to be a tiger. In any case, this roar was very strange. Lin Feng couldn't figure out what it was. Just as he was feeling puzzled, a huge battle between soul beasts was going on in the place where the roar came from. On one side, there was a 90,000-year icy demonic soul flood dragon. On the other side, there was an 80,000-year Chinquin blood shadow beast. Damned blood shadow beast. How dare you steal my soul pearl? If you put it down now, I'll let you live. Otherwise, I won't rest until you die. To the icy demonic soul flood dragon, a soul pearl was something it had to condense every year. After so many years, it was an opportunity for it to become a 100,000-year soul beast. This Chinquin blood shadow beast relied on its spatial soul skills to steal its soul pearl while it was asleep. It really deserved to die. Right now, the two beasts were extremely powerful. Many sleeping soul beasts were awakened, but they didn't seem to have any intention of attacking. They only watched from afar. Beat me if you can. The Chinquan Blood Shadow beast wasn't flustered at all. It easily blocked the icy demonic soul flood dragon's attack. This was a soul beast similar to a Tao Tai. The word Chinquan meant that it had spatial abilities, while the word Blood Shadow meant that it was fast and ferocious. This kind of soul beast had the bloodline of a savage beast. Even though it was only 80,000 year, it wasn't inferior to the 90,000 year icy demonic soul flood dragon. It was normal for soul beasts to fight over territory and treasures. The Chinquan Blood Shadow beast wasn't stupid. It wouldn't steal from a 100,000-year soul beast. Its target was a 90,000-year soul beast. It was because of this that it hadn't encountered any accidents. Chapter 190. I'll give a soul orb to whoever helps me keep it here. The icy demon soul beast knew that it couldn't keep this guy here by itself, so it immediately shouted. Fights between soul beasts were usually fair, one-on-one. Other soul beasts wouldn't interfere unless they had a very strong relationship. But now the icy demon soul beast was going to give a soul orb to another soul beast. This meant that their relationship was strong enough, so it wouldn't be a problem for them to interfere. Immediately, several soul beasts in the crowd expressed their desire to interfere. You want to catch me? I'm not going to play with you anymore. Goodbye. The Chinquan Blood Shadow beast didn't run because it hadn't recovered its teleportation soul skill. Now that it had recovered, it had to run. It wants to run. Hurry up and stop it. The soul orb will belong to whoever stops it. The icy demon soul flood dragon shouted as it spat out an ice ray. It wanted to stop this guy from leaving. The soul beasts that had spoken earlier also made their moves. Some released flames, and some exploded near the Blood Shadow beast. Anyway, they used all kinds of methods to stop this guy. But since the Chinquan Blood Shadow beast dared to steal the soul orb, it had to be strong. It used teleportation to forcibly break through the seal of so many soul skills and disappeared. It was teleporting outside, but it was affected by the soul skill fluctuations, and its position was a little off. But it shouldn't be a big problem. Sure enough, when it came back to its senses, the soul beasts around it had decreased a lot. It was safe. With that thought in mind, it heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly took out the 3 soul beads that it had snatched from one of its spaces. Soul orbs are good things. They could increase one's soul power without any side effects. Also, they could increase one's spiritual power. Before it could rejoice, the Blood Shadow beast suddenly felt an extreme sense of danger coming from behind it. It wanted to dodge, but it was too late. A knife and a stick attacked from 2 different directions. They chose to attack it when it was relaxed. It couldn't dodge. In an instant, the Blood Shadow beast only had time to block the knife on its right. After all, the stick on its left was a blunt weapon. Even if it was hit, it wouldn't be seriously injured. But just as it thought of this, the stick on its left turned into a large knife in an instant. The Chinquan Blood Shadow beast. The confusion only lasted for a moment, because when the saber had completely chopped down, it was already dead, and the person who killed it was Lin Feng. Speaking of which, it was quite interesting. Just now, when he heard the noise from the depths, he was rushing over. After all, he had the strength, so there was nothing wrong with going over to take a look out of curiosity. However, as they walked, they suddenly felt a strong wave of soul force undulations not too far away. It was very abrupt, so Lin Feng came over to take a look out of curiosity. It didn't matter if he didn't look, but when he did, it really gave Lin Feng a shock. A 90,000-year soul beast was right in front of them, and it looked extremely ferocious. It was injured and defenseless. With all of these points added together, it was as if they were specially prepared to give Lin Feng his 8th soul ring. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't think too much about it. He summoned his doppelganger and attacked from both sides with all his strength, hoping to kill the enemy in one strike. In the end, the result was very satisfying. This soul beast that looked very strong was killed by Lin Feng. Such a ferocious fellow. The soul ring must have given him a big move. Right? It seemed to be holding a few dark blue pearls in its hand, and they looked very powerful. Lin Feng looked around nearby and quickly found the 3 dark blue pearls. He felt them for a moment, and found that they contained extremely pure soul power. When he held them in his hand, he felt a sense of tranquility and comfort. Good stuff. Definitely good stuff. Lin Feng guessed that this soul beast must have something to do with the commotion in the forest. These pearls should be able to directly increase a soul master's soul power. However, the soul power inside them was very high in rank. If Soul Douluo used them, he would probably be able to directly increase his rank. However, it was best not to absorb them directly for low-ranked soul masters. Otherwise, they would be enveloped and die. It was fine to cultivate close to the pearls. This would speed up one's cultivation, and it could be used for a long time. However, Lin Feng didn't care too much about it. He quickly threw the pearls into the soul tool. After that, he looked at the corpse of the soul beast. The shape, its name is Blood Shadow Beast? No, although it looks very similar, there is still a big difference. Is it a mutation? Or is it not a Blood Shadow Beast? At this moment, the system's notification sounded. Ding! After a swift attack, the host has killed the year 866542 Chinquin Blood Shadow Beast. His fighting experience has increased. Experience plus 5486246. Good fellow, its vitality is really strong. Even if its head was cut off, it still took so long to die. Chinquin Blood Shadow Beast? Then it must be a mutation. There's still a universe? Does it possess spatial abilities? So the huge undulations that he felt earlier were from this soul beast being teleported out from the depths of the forest? Just as he was thinking about this, the soul beast soul ring came out. It was deep black, and there were some bright red spots in it. If one didn't look closely, one wouldn't be able to see them. The soul beast projection was still roaring above the soul ring. Lin Feng glanced at it and didn't say anything. He reached out and absorbed it. Lin Feng realized that the speed at which he absorbed the soul ring was really fast. He finished absorbing it in just a few seconds. Furthermore, the soul beast's original will couldn't affect him at all. The reason was probably because his martial soul was too strong. The immeasurable flower symbolized tolerance. This was why he could absorb the soul ring so quickly. Furthermore, Lin Feng's research on martial souls, soul skills, and soul power went so smoothly. His martial soul played a big part in that. After absorbing the soul ring, Lin Feng's strength increased again. Immediately, Lin Feng sensed the soul skill that he had obtained. Teleportation? Teleportation within 10 kilometers. Cooldown of 5 minutes. Are you kidding me? Lin Feng wanted a powerful attack type, soul skill, not a life-saving one. Although this kind of teleportation was useful, at least if he met those peerless experts, he would have the qualifications to run. However, this wasn't Lin Feng's ideal type. But now that he had absorbed it, there was nothing to say. After thinking about it, he directly used the 1,000 trickery ruler to isolate the surroundings. Then just like last time, he used his experience to break through this soul ring. After increasing it by more than 10 million, it broke through 10 million. A total of more than 20 million experience was used up in an instant. And what Lin Feng obtained was a bright red 100,000-year soul ring. An enormous power spread out, and Xiaoying was already prepared to absorb it. This explosion caused its strength to increase by quite a bit. Oh, interesting. After this soul ring was upgraded to 100,000 year, not only did Lin Feng's body improve, but more importantly, his soul skills also changed. Chapter 191. Now, his 8th soul skill allowed him to teleport 20 kilometers away, and its cooldown time had become 2 minutes. It wouldn't have surprised Lin Feng if that was all. Although it was very strong, it wasn't enough to surprise him. The main thing was that this soul ring had added a second ability. This ability was quite simple. It allowed him to switch positions with his avatars and avatars. Because of the increase in rank, Lin Feng's avatars could move 3 kilometers away, and his avatars could move even farther, at least 5 kilometers away. As long as he was within this range, he could switch positions with his avatars and avatars at any time. This was a special soul skill that he had obtained after breaking through to a 100,000-year soul ring. It had a cooldown time of 1 minute, which was equivalent to having an extra life. Furthermore, this ability was extremely good for sneak attacks. Think about it. You could use your avatars to transform into a small animal or insect and slowly approach your target. Would others care about this? Of course not. It was like how you wouldn't notice an ant while walking on the road. Lin Feng used this method to get close to his enemy, then instantly switch positions and kill him. This skill is really godly. Lin Feng had just said that it wasn't as good as a big killing move. Now, it seemed like this was a big killing move. So fragrant. Suppressing the joy in his heart, Lin Feng quickly sensed the soul beast's corpse to see if there were any soul bones. Generally speaking, the older a soul beast was, the more likely it was for a soul bone to appear. Earlier, the wind dragon had given Lin Feng a left leg bone. This 90,000-year blood shadow beast should have a soul bone too. As expected, Lin Feng discovered a skull near the soul beast's head. It emitted a brilliant light, and its soul power was very strong. Lin Feng didn't hesitate and directly absorbed it. When a soul bone and a soul ring were used together, they would unleash great power. Lin Feng had used the Wind Dragon's left leg bone's second soul skill, Wind Invisibility, when he had ambushed the Chinquan Blood Shadow Beast. His avatars and main body transformed into a gentle breeze as they attacked the Blood Shadow Beast. Because of this fellow only reacted at the last moment. Otherwise, it would have had a chance to dodge. After sensing it for a while, Lin Feng discovered that this soul bone also gave him an extremely powerful soul skill other than the additional spiritual power it gave him. This was the Blood Chinquan Beast Skull's soul skill, Spatial Imprisonment. It was similar to Douluo's 8th soul skill, Time Freeze, but it was stronger. After all, Douluo was too weak. At this time, Lin Feng suddenly sensed that there was movement outside. Dispelling the 1,000 manipulation ruler's barrier, Tang Wulin could sense several powerful auras heading in his direction. They were all 90,000-year soul beasts, and they were all extremely powerful. Normally, only Douluo, who is at least rank 95, will be able to fight against a 100,000-year soul beast. Normally, a 90-year-old titled Douluo would only be able to suppress 90,000-year soul beasts. After all, the life force of soul beasts was not on the same level as that of soul masters. Only those who were much stronger could suppress soul beasts. Liu Bai's strength had soared again. He was about equal to Douluo when he was at the 96th rank. For 90,000-year soul beasts were nothing in Lin Feng's eyes. Since he was lacking experience, he could use them to gain experience. As he thought about it, Lin Feng summoned his clone and released his soul rings. Black, 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 red, red, red. He had 8 soul rings, and with his clone, he had a total of 16 soul rings. Ever since his 1,000 manipulation ruler could imitate soul rings, Lin Feng had spent a few million experience points to upgrade his first soul ring from a 100-year to a 10,000-year soul ring. The enormous aura caused the 4 90,000-year soul beasts to stop in their tracks. They looked at each other and saw fear in each other's eyes. 400,000-year soul rings. What did this mean? It meant that 400,000-year soul beasts had died at the hands of these two people. They were only 4 90,000-year soul beasts. Weren't they courting death? Hence, they turned and ran without hesitation. Lin Feng smiled faintly. How could I let you run away? Lin Feng's clone teleported behind the 4 soul beasts and released his spatial imprisonment. Whoosh! An invisible force wrapped around the 4 soul beasts, suppressing them to the point that they couldn't move. This was purely an external suppression. The 4 soul beasts could still use their soul power. They immediately used their various abilities to escape. Lin Feng watched silently as his main body slowly floated over. Good luck! Good luck! Lin Feng cheered the 4 soul beasts on from the side with a tinge of mischief. The 4 soul beasts didn't say anything and struggled even harder. The spatial imprisonment lasted for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, the 4 soul beasts loosened their bodies and immediately tried to escape. At this moment, Lin Feng's main body released his spatial imprisonment. The four soul beasts, F***CK. They were terrified. What kind of soul skill was this? They couldn't break free at all. It made them feel despair. At this moment, Lin Feng deeply understood how powerful his avatar was. All his soul skills didn't share a cooldown. It was simply invincible. Lin Feng didn't look at the four soul beasts struggling. He directly grabbed the pole and smashed them, causing them to be heavily injured. They were all terrified and afraid of being killed. However, Lin Feng didn't have any intention of killing them. After beating them up, he waited for the spatial imprisonment to disappear. He didn't care anymore and let the four soul beasts escape. In the past, Lin Feng wasn't strong enough and had to completely subdue them. This way, it would be more convenient for him to come again. But now that Lin Feng was strong enough, he didn't need to play those tricks. He just needed to beat them up again. Ding! After an intense battle, the host defeated the 92,415-year soul beast eyes, see demonic soul flood dragon, 93,276-year soul beast snow fairy, 91,541-year soul beast green hell snake, and 92,197-year soul beast snow mountain demon shadow wolf. Battle experience increased. Experience plus 28415,245, over 20 million experience points in one go. Awesome. Just as Lin Feng was thinking about whether to continue walking in and find another high-level soul beast to fight, the auras of 300,000-year soul beasts rose up from the depths of the extreme north. Furthermore, they didn't look like they had just entered the 100,000-year realm. They were all very strong. How could Lin Feng not know that he was being targeted because he was too arrogant? If he didn't run now, he would be surrounded later. With that thought in mind, Lin Feng grabbed Xiao Ying and dashed out of the room. If it wasn't for the fact that only Lin Feng could teleport and couldn't bring others along, Lin Feng would have teleported away with Xiao Ying. However, Lin Feng's speed was also very fast. They only took 3 minutes to escape from the forest. At this time, the strong auras in the depths of the forest slowly calmed down. It was as if the aura they released was purely to chase Lin Feng away. Exhaling lightly, Lin Feng's face revealed a happy smile. Chapter 192. Wasn't the extreme north a little too united? When he stirred up trouble in the setting sun forest, there was only 100,000-year soul beast that targeted him. But in the extreme north, there were 300,000-year soul beasts that came after him. Furthermore, their auras were very strong. Could it be that the four soul beasts he killed were related to them? Or could it be that the blood shadow beast he killed was related to them? Although he was being targeted, Lin Feng had nothing to say. After all, he had gained quite a lot from this trip. After thinking for a moment, he spent another 20 million experience to upgrade the skull to a 100,000-year soul bone. For a moment, Lin Feng felt his mind clear up a lot. It was as if his entire being had ascended. The world around him became a little different. It was brighter. His observation skills had also become much more detailed. Lin Feng knew that this was a sign of his spiritual power becoming stronger. After all, a 100,000-year soul bone was too strong. His perception of the world had changed. In addition to the increase in his spiritual power, Lin Feng also discovered that the skull had a new soul skill. It was called Blood Fiend. Blood Fiend's effect was very simple. After it was released, it could drive a person crazy. It was an area of effect soul skill that could also be used against a single person. This soul skill depended on the person's willpower. If the person was weak, they would probably go crazy in an instant. The stronger the person's willpower, the less they would be affected. Of course, the prerequisite was that one had to possess the strength of a titled Douluo. After all, the soul skill unleashed by a 100,000-year soul bone was not a battle of willpower without the strength of a titled Douluo. Sighing with emotion, Lin Feng looked at his character panel. Name: Lin Feng, Martial Soul, 1000 Trick Ruler, Immeasurable Flower Soul Power. Rank 82, plus, 1000 Trick Ruler Soul Ring. None Special Soul Skill. Avatar Immeasurable Flower Soul Ring. Snow Lotus 10,000 Year. Plus, Soul Skill. Life Bloom Ghost Head Stalking Spider 10,000 Year. Plus, Soul Skill. Shadow Bind Armored Bear 10,000 Year. Plus, Soul Skill. Armor Demonic Bear, Transformation Fireweaver Monkey, 14,154 year, plus Soul Skill, Raging Flame Wreath Nether Civet, 34,952 year, plus Soul Skill, Nether. Force Lightning Falcon, 38,461 year, plus Soul Skill, Lightning Wings Wine Dragon, 100,000 year, plus Soul Skill, Martial Soul True Body Blood Shadow Beast, 100,000 year, plus Soul Skill, Teleportation Derivative Soul Skill, Conversion Soul Bone, Wind Dragon Left Leg Bone, 100,000 year, plus Soul Skill 1. Hathar Soul Skill 2. Wind Invisibility Chinquin Blood Shadow Beast Skull, 100,000 years, plus Soul Skill 1. Spatial Imprisonment Soul Skill 2. Blood Fiend Experience, 177,57386 after becoming a Soul Douluo. He would need 3 million experience points to level up. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry to level up. Instead, he suppressed his rank. Soul Soul, Soul Pet Soul Soul Soul, Soul 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 Soul. Perhaps the system wouldn't give him too much experience if he fought against a low-ranked titled Douluo like Douluo. Moreover, Lin Feng now had so many life-saving skills. As long as he kept his incarnation and doppelgangers nearby at all times, Lin Feng would be able to escape even if he encountered a demigod. The clone teleported a few kilometers to the maximum distance, then switched between the original body and the clone, teleported another few dozen kilometers, and continued running. Lin Feng didn't believe that he would be chased down by others after running dozens of kilometers in an instant. For the time being, Lin Feng's priority was not to level up blindly, but to farm experience point from Douluo's titled Battle Pet Warriors. When he reached a higher level, he would have to find Douluo, who was above level 95, to fight. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to earn experience points efficiently. With that in mind, Lin Feng didn't stay in the far north for long. The place didn't welcome him. If he went in again, he might be attacked. Next time, he would go to the Star Luo Empire to take a look. When he became stronger, he would capture all the soul beasts in the Setting Sun Forest, the far north, and the Star Do Great Forest. He would earn experience points every day. As a matter of fact, the 490,000-year soul beasts had given him as much experience points as Douluo's. If Lin Feng had been prepared, he would have captured them. He turned around and looked at the snowy forest. Next time I come here, just wait for me to earn experience points. With that said, Lin Feng turned around and flew back to Heaven Do City. When he returned, Tang San and the others would cultivate in the academy. Lin Feng would take the opportunity to stir up trouble in Heaven Do City. From time to time, he would fight with Douluo's titled Battle Pet Warriors. At the same time, he could use the Smurfs of the Avengers to earn experience points in Heaven Do City's Soul Dueling Arena. In 1 year, he would set a medium goal for himself. Earn 500 million experience points. 500 million might seem like a lot, but on average, he would only need to earn a little more than 1 million every day. That was already very little. Then there was another goal, which was to multitask. At present, Lin Feng could barely multitask. He could increase his multitasking by 3 times a year. Fighting in the Soul Dueling Arena was his main method of improvement. Alright, Lin Feng remembered that Ning Rongrong had a multitasking cultivation method. It seemed to have a more advanced name, Defense Heart. Lin Feng had seen this thing when Ning Rongrong was cultivating. Although it also had the effect of multitasking, the cultivation method was too one-sided. Compared to the difficulty of Lin Feng's cultivation, it was simply too easy. After learning this Defense Heart, a silver player would have the awareness of a king. You would be able to pay attention to blood swap, the duration of your vision, the cooldown of the enemy's skills, the position of the jungler, and so on. In this situation, your brain would be like an analytical machine. You would be able to calculate a lot of things, which would give you an advantage and allow you to kill accurately. However, in essence, it was still one person who was operating at the same time. Lin Feng's multitasking method was to operate 2 different bodies at the same time. Thus, he would have 2 completely different bodies and perspectives. This was extremely difficult, and it was not something that Ning Rongrong's Defense Heart could cultivate. Therefore, Lin Feng's cultivation method had always been to grind. He relied on time and training to slowly grind it down. Where did this expert come from? He was so familiar with everything. Of course, this was except for cheating. The level of Soul Duo was a level that countless people worshipped. Lin Feng had reached it so easily. After more than 6 years of learning, with Lin Feng's help, Tang Xin barely reached level 38. He was already level 82. Such a huge gap made Lin Feng think of the gift that allowed him to do whatever he wanted. Tang Xin, you could do whatever you want by cheating? Lin Feng, that's right. Cheating means you can do whatever you want. Chapter 193. Heaven Dose City, Shrek Academy. 10 days later, Lin Feng finally came back. He was thinking that he should find time to take Tang San to the Ice Fire Yin Yang Well this week. He wanted to see if those immortal herbs would give him experience points. The academy was very peaceful, and nothing out of the ordinary had happened. After returning, Lin Feng prepared to go to the cafeteria to eat something to fill his stomach. Fengge, you're finally back. Oscar and Ma Hongjun ran over. Ma Hongjun was even more anxious as he said, Fengge, third brother was captured not long after you left. The principal and the others are guessing that it was Douluo who took him, but they've been searching for him for a week and haven't been able to find him. Xiao Wu is so worried that she's crying. Xiao Xin was captured? Lin Feng was taken aback. He had thought that Douluo wouldn't do anything in the short term, and that Tang Xin wouldn't be captured for at least a month. Who would have thought that he would be captured after just 3 days? Is there something wrong with Douluo's brain? Isn't he afraid that his identity as Thanos will target him? However, there's no point in thinking about this now that he's been captured. I should go out and search. If nothing went wrong, Tang Xin should have used his wits to avoid being killed. Right now, he should be near the Ice Fire Yin Yang Well, preparing to concoct the herbs to cure Douluo's poison. That was indeed the case. Tang Xin had made a bet with Douluo to cure the poison in his body, just like in the original novel. However, he was more important this time than he was in the original novel. This was because he was only rank 34 in the original novel, but now he was rank 38. Tang San's disguise wasn't very good, so he wouldn't be discovered under normal circumstances. Even title Douluo wouldn't be able to tell if he didn't look closely. However, if someone were to observe carefully and use their soul power to probe, even a soul sage would be able to detect it, let alone a title Douluo. The moment Douluo grabbed Tang San, he knew his true level. A 13-year-old rank 38 soul exalt. Such a genius was enough to make him want to recruit him. Xiao Wu has been waiting for you. Fengge, go and see her first. Oscar said. They were also anxious when Tang San was arrested, but they were not as anxious as Xiao Wu. She had been forcing herself to calm down for the past few days, but the pressure in her heart was too great. Tang San was arrested, and Lin Feng was not around. Even though everyone comforted her, she still could not bear it. She was so anxious that she cried these days. Let's go. Take me to Xiao Wu, Lin Feng said. Soon, the three of them arrived at the dormitory area. There was a small dormitory here that was specially prepared for the students of Shrek Academy. Fengge is back, Ma Hongjun shouted as they approached. In the next second, several doors in the dormitory were opened. The three girls and Dai Mubai all rushed out. Xiao Wu, in particular, used teleportation to pounce in front of Lin Feng and hugged him. Fengge, you're finally back. Third brother was taken away by that damned poison Douluo. Master and the others went out to look for him, but they couldn't find him. The two of you aren't here. I'm scared. Xiao Wu couldn't stop the tears in her eyes, and she spoke with a sobbing tone. Lin Feng patted her back. After a while, he let her go. You're crying like a little kitten. Even Xiaoying can't cry as much as you. Xiao San is a good person. What are you worried about? Lin Feng said with a smile as he wiped the tears on Xiao Wu's face. At the same time, Xiaoying jumped into Xiao Wu's arms, making the fear in her heart dissipate. That's the title Douluo. He's vicious and the #1 poison user on the entire continent. Xiao Wu wiped her tears and said, Don't worry, there shouldn't be any problems. Lin Feng was still very confident in Tang San's protagonist aura. Lin Feng continued, How about this? I'll go out and look for him. I'll also find Lord Thanos. Really, Fonga? You can contact Lord Thanos? Xiao Wu asked in surprise. She and Tang San knew that Lin Feng should be related to His Highness Exterminator Overlord, but she didn't know if Lin Feng could find His Highness Exterminator Overlord. The others were also surprised. This was the first time that Lin Feng had explicitly told them that he could contact a title battle pet warrior, Daw. This made them excited. It was a strange feeling. It was as if your classmate was a distant cousin of Superstar, and one day, he told you that he could invite that superstar to his class to hang out. That was a thrilling feeling. Zhu Zhuqing, on the other hand, noticed something. Just then, Lin Feng said that he could find Lord Thanos on the way. Zhu Zhuqing felt that the word "on the way" was different. She felt that she had discovered something important, but it was vague. She couldn't figure out what it was. It was very strange. I'll try my best. You guys wait here for my good news. With that, Lin Feng didn't stay there for long. Soon, he left the academy. Before he left, he took another look at Zhu Zhuqing. Just now, the way she looked at him was a little strange. Why was that? But Lin Feng didn't think too much about it. He quickly left the city and went straight to the Sunset Forest. Grandmaster and the others were also searching the forest near Heaven Do City. Lin Feng remembered that in the original novel, they searched for a long time. In the end, they even fought with Douluo. If it weren't for Tang San, they would have been dead. And by the time Tang San returned, it was already half a year later. This time, Lin Feng didn't bother with Grandmaster and the others. Instead, he quickly went to the poison array from before. Because he was afraid of being sensed by the 100,000-year-soul beasts in the forest, Lin Feng concealed his aura and walked on the ground. Although this speed was a little slower, it was only relative to flying. In fact, Lin Feng wasn't sure that the poison array was where the ice-fire yin-yang well was located. But Lin Feng only knew this information so far. Furthermore, Lin Feng was a little worried that Douluo would take Tang San somewhere else. Although the possibility of that happening wasn't high, Lin Feng could only think of the second half of the book if it happened. That was to cause a riot in the Sunset Forest and force Douluo out. Hopefully, his luck wasn't that bad. With that thought in mind, Lin Feng waved his hand. He had already arrived at the approximate location where he killed the Wind Dragon. However, Lin Feng was chasing after soul beasts at that time. He didn't remember the exact location of the poison array. It would take some time for him to find it now. About half an hour later, Lin Feng stopped in front of an empty space. Douluo's poison array was not far away. Lin Feng smiled and summoned his doppelganger. Then, he rushed in together with his doppelganger. His doppelganger was wearing Thanos' mask, while Lin Feng was wearing Fu's mask. The poison array was very large. It was about half the size of the new Shrek Academy. Lin Feng summoned 3 more doppelganger. A total of 5 doppelgangers started to search the poison array. Chapter 194. The ice-fire yin-yang well wasn't located in the depths of the forest. Instead, it was located in the middle of the forest. Most of the soul beasts living in this area were 1,000-year soul beasts. Occasionally, 10,000-year soul beasts would appear. Because Douluo discovered this land of treasures, he used a poison array to encircle it. The area he encircled was very large, and he even built a cave dwelling in a cave far away from the ice-fire yin-yang well. His goal was very simple. He wanted to hide the true location of the ice-fire yin-yang well. With such a large area of effect poison array, most experts would first check out Douluo's cave when they entered, and there were many treasures in the cave. This way, others would think that the person who set up the poison array was protecting the cave dwelling. In reality, Douluo was protecting the ice-fire yin-yang well. Douluo's poison array wasn't used to defend against high-level soul beasts. It was only used to deter 1,000-year soul beasts. At the same time, it was also used to warn them. When he caught Tang San a few days ago, he heard that he could cure the poison in his body. He was a little skeptical. He tested Hui Yuhao's poison skills and realized that they were really powerful. He was amazed that Hui Yuhao could cure his poison. After that, he came to an agreement with Tang San. Tang San would cure him and his granddaughter, Duge Yin, and he would let Tang San live. However, Hui Yuhao was a little strange. He said that he couldn't get close to him when he was concocting the poison. Douluo agreed. However, a week had passed, and he had to check on the situation today. At the same time, Lin Feng and his avatar walked in. Very soon, Douluo sensed the movement from the poison array. He squinted his eyes and rushed over. Did someone barge in? Or did a 10,000-year soul beast accidentally barge in? Usually it was the latter. After all, not many people came to this place. However, now that he had caught Tang San, it was very likely that it was the former. No matter what, whoever dared to barge into his poison array was courting death. Douluo was a titled Douluo. Even the emperor had to treat him with respect. When had he ever been afraid of anyone? As for his escape in the Sunset Forest, how could that be considered an escape? That was a strategic retreat. When he was ambushed at the Heaven Do Academy's entrance, the masked man was also scared away by the reinforcements. Therefore, Douluo was invincible. He was a titled battle pet warrior. He wasn't afraid of anyone. With this thought in mind, Douluo quickly stepped into the air and rushed towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng ran in 5 different directions. Coincidentally, his powerful avatar wearing the Thanos mask coincided with Douluo's route. After a few seconds, the two of them happened to bump into each other in the air. "It's you. It's you." The two of them spoke at the same time. They could see the astonishment in each other's eyes. Lin Feng didn't expect to find Douluo so easily, and the latter didn't expect to run into this bastard. In the next second, the fearless Douluo's eyes were filled with lingering fear. His 8th soul ring suddenly lit up as he unleashed his ultimate move. 8th soul skill, Time Freeze. Following this, he spat out a mouthful of poisonous fog and turned to run. This wasn't cowardice, it was obedience. On the other hand, Lin Feng's face was full of joy. "Don't run, old man Douluo. Let me show you a treasure." As he spoke, the soul bone on Lin Feng's forehead shone brightly. He had unleashed his spatial shackles. Suddenly, the space in front of the two of them exploded with intense soul power undulations. The two powers of spatial shackles intertwined and entangled with each other. Although Lin Feng was stronger than Douluo had already run far away during that time. However, at the same time, an ordinary-looking club appeared in Lin Feng's hand. The moment this club appeared, it suddenly enlarged. The speed of its enlargement was far faster than Douluo's escape speed. 10 meters, 30 meters, 50 meters, 100 meters. The 100-meter-long club smashed down towards Douluo's head. The immense soul power suppression even caused the space around Douluo to become extremely viscous. He couldn't run and could only resist. Under this pressure, his 30-meter-long jade-scaled snake emperor true body was unleashed. He threw out soul skills with all his might and set up a large number of defenses around his body. However, all of these seemed to be useless. All of his defenses were futile. Lin Feng's club continued to smash down. His defense-type soul skills were broken inch by inch, and he was severely injured. How was this possible? Douluo vomited blood in horror. How long has it been? This guy wasn't this strong before this. Didn't he just become a titled Douluo a few weeks ago? How did he become so strong? Furthermore, wasn't the top-tier tool soul the Clear Sky Hammer? He had never seen this club before. It was ridiculously strong. Today, he was in the setting sun forest. There were no outsiders to help him, and he had encountered such a killer. Was he, Douluo, going to die? Douluo was in despair. His heart was also full of doubts. For example, who was this guy? What was his martial soul? He couldn't accept it. At this moment, Lin Feng's avatar walked over slowly. "I told you I was going to show you a big treasure. How is it? Do you see it now?" "Who are you?" Douluo shouted. He couldn't maintain his martial soul true body after being smashed by the club. He had already turned back into his human form. "Oh, you have quite a temper." Lin Feng laughed. "I'm Thanos. You can call me Papa." "Call him Daddy?" Douluo felt that he had been insulted. This guy was really heart-wrenching. Even if he had to die, he had to make a final stand. With that thought, Douluo's soul rings lit up. He was ready to explode his soul rings and perish together with this guy. Douluo was a titled Douluo. He would never allow himself to be humiliated. What's the hurry? I'm not going to kill you, Lin Feng said indifferently. He didn't expect Douluo to be so unyielding. He actually wanted to explode. Although it wouldn't hurt him much, his courage was commendable. But Lin Feng wouldn't let him die. Where could he find another EXP baby that was almost beaten into submission? You're not going to kill me? What are you trying to do? Douluo immediately stopped himself. He still wanted to live. After all, Tang, ahem, no one wanted to die. Furthermore, he had made Tang San swallow a pill that contained half of his strength. If he died, the pill would explode. Tang San would die too. Tang San also meant that his granddaughter wouldn't be able to live. He had 3 lives on his back now. He wouldn't die if he could. He had lost his cool because he was too angry. Now that he thought about it, why did this masked man come looking for him? Was it just to kill him? If that was the case, Lin Feng wouldn't have said something like that. He thought about it carefully. He had captured Tang San and was about to go to the Heaven Do Academy to force the Shrek Academy to leave. Therefore, he boldly guessed that this masked man was related to the Shrek Academy. Chapter 195. I don't have any ulterior motives, Lin Feng said indifferently. Let's make a deal. What deal? Douluo hurriedly asked. Fight with me every day for 3 months. Lin Feng laughed. I won't let you fight for nothing. As the price, I'll let you go today and cure the poison in your body. Why did he say 3 months? Because Lin Feng discovered a pattern. If he fought with a target every day, the experience he gained would rapidly decrease within half a month. After 2 months, the amount of EXP he would gain would probably be less than 1% of the initial amount. Lin Feng had purposely said 3 months, which was a long time. As for Douluo, he was good enough to be Lin Feng's punching partner. That was why he was severely injured by Lin Feng. Besides Lin Feng's strength becoming stronger, there was another important reason. The pill that contained half of his strength was not in his body, but in Tang San's. Otherwise, Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to beat him back to human form with 1 hit. It would have taken 2 hits. You can cure the poison in my body. Douluo coughed up blood, his face full of suspicion. He knew that Lin Feng had a soul skill that could spray green mist. That soul skill could resist his poison, but he didn't believe that Lin Feng could cure the poison in his body. Lin Feng didn't say much. With a wave of his hand, a green light flashed, and Douluo's hair became even greener, and the injuries on his body were healed within 5 seconds. Lin Feng was a little surprised. Does title Douluo need such a long time to recover? 5 seconds? He had a 10,000-year soul skill now, and its recovery ability was extremely strong. The injuries suffered by Tang San and the others would be healed in an instant. Even if he was injured, he could recover in 1 or 2 seconds. Douluo needed 5 seconds. Could it be that he hit him too hard just now? While thinking about this, Douluo said with a shocked face, What soul skill is this? It's actually so miraculous. With such a strong healing ability, even a titled battle pet warrior like Douluo would be healed in 5 seconds. Douluo had never seen such a soul skill before. He knew of a martial spirit called the Nine-Hearted Begonia, which had the best healing ability in the world. However, Douluo also knew that even the Nine-Hearted Begonia was not that powerful, unless this was a divine skill. Cut the crap. For the past 3 months, I've been coming here every afternoon to look for you. When the time comes, I'll naturally detoxify you. Lin Feng had controlled the amount of soul power he used to heal Douluo's injuries, but he didn't remove the poison. However, Lin Feng had also ascertained that this poison was simply a piece of cake for him. His immeasurable flower was a small expert at dispelling poisons. What if you don't cure me when the time is up? Douluo asked. So you want to die now? Lin Feng glanced at him, his eyes cold. Of course not. Douluo waved his hands. He realized the severity of the situation. Although Lin Feng had said that he was making a deal with him, it was actually an order. If he followed the order, he would still have a chance to live. If he disobeyed, he would die right now. He had no chance to refuse. In the end, he sighed. I'll be here for the next 3 months. Don't play any tricks with me. Right now, I can crush you to death as easily as crushing an ant. Douluo's forte was poison, which Lin Feng countered. This was why Lin Feng had been able to suppress Douluo before. But now, Lin Feng was much stronger than before. If he wanted to kill Douluo, he only needed to grasp the right timing. His main body and avatar could attack at the same time to kill him in an instant. Douluo was no longer worthy of Lin Feng's attention. He was already a qualified experienced baby. As for calling people to kill him, there weren't many powerful people in Heavendoe City. Even in the vicinity of Heavendoe City, the most powerful person was the rank 96 Kinduru Ashen. Unless Douluo was powerful enough to invite Dusty Heart and Ning Fengji to kill him, Lin Feng had nothing to fear. Since it's a deal, I hope you'll keep your word when the time is up. Otherwise, I'll let you have a taste of my power, even if I have to self-destruct, Douluo said in a low voice. Douluo turned to leave after speaking. He realized that Lin Feng had been using his soul power to suppress him after injuring him. He didn't know if there was something wrong with his brain. Lin Feng smiled and said, I heard that you caught someone. Take me there. Douluo stopped in his tracks. Just as I guessed, this guy is related to the Shrek Academy. I've kicked a metal plate. He's up ahead. Douluo didn't say anything else. He led Lin Feng forward. Douluo knew that resistance was futile, so he could only do as he was told. While Lin Feng's avatars were arguing with Douluo, his main body and his clones had already searched many places. However, they still hadn't found the Ice Fire Yin Yang well, so he wanted Douluo to take him there. At this moment, the system notification sounded. Ding! After a crushing battle, host has defeated rank 91 titled Douluo. Your battle experience has increased. You have received 686,5142 experience points. The reason why Lin Feng had used his soul power to suppress Douluo earlier was to prolong the battle. He had only retracted his soul power now. Even so, the experience points gained this time were much less than last time. The main reason was that Douluo didn't have his pill, so he was much weaker. On the other hand, Lin Feng's rank had increased. However, he didn't think too much about it. He would just ask Tang San to pass the pill to Douluo later. Just like that, Lin Feng followed Douluo and slowly flew forward. They arrived at the edge of a cliff. That person is down there. With that, Douluo leaped down and floated down. Lin Feng glanced at the thick fog below, then went up as well. This was a small valley, and it was filled with hot air. This must be where the Ice Fire Yin Yang well was. No wonder the fog here was so thick. After reaching the bottom, Lin Feng realized that the Ice Fire Yin Yang well was a small pool. It was oval in shape, and the center was clearly divided into two parts. It was very magical. There were all kinds of plants around the Ice Fire Yin Yang well, and they came in all kinds of shapes and sizes. Tang San, who Lin Feng was looking for, was meditating among the herbs. When he realized that someone was coming, he immediately jumped out and was about to emphasize his agreement with Douluo. He wasn't allowed to sneak in. Just as he was about to speak, he saw Lin Feng's avatars. This is... Tang San was stunned. He obviously didn't understand what was going on. Why was Lord Thanos with Douluo? At this moment, Lin Feng waved his hand, and the pill that belonged to Douluo in Tang San's body flew out of his mouth. You can leave now. I want to see you here tomorrow afternoon. With that, Lin Feng threw the pill to Douluo. The latter hurriedly swallowed it and left without saying a word. At this point, Tang San still didn't understand what was going on. Chapter 196. In terms of soul power control, Lin Feng was simply too strong. As soon as he arrived, he sensed the situation in Tang San's body and directly took out the pill. At this time, after Douluo left, only Tang San and Lin Feng's incarnation were left in the valley. Tang San was a little restrained. This was the first time he was facing Thanos' identity alone, and he was very nervous. Just as he was about to bow, Lin Feng's original body had already arrived and laughed loudly from afar. Xiao San, your handsome and invincible brother Fengge, is here to save you. For you, I can even invite Lord Thanos. At this time, Lin Feng's incarnation said in a calm tone, I'm leaving. After saying that, the incarnation flew into the air and disappeared in an instant. Fengge, is this the power of a titled Douluo? Tang Xin looked in the direction where the incarnation left with a face full of admiration. Forget it. What he said just now was in vain. It was clearly his handsome Fengge who came to save him. Tang Xin really didn't know. Fortunately, he quickly looked at Lin Feng and said solemnly, Fengge, thank you. In fact, Tang San had a lot of doubts in his heart. For example, how did Fengge find Thanos? And what was with Douluo just now? However, he didn't ask these questions. At this time, he was very touched. Don't bother with those empty words. Look at how many treasures there are here. Dig them all up. Lin Feng looked at the countless plants beside the ice-fire yin-yang well, and his eyes were full of light. As long as eating these things could increase his experience points, it would be a good place to farm experience points. If it couldn't increase his experience points or didn't add much, then forget it. Fengge, you also know that these are treasures. Tang San was stunned. Judging from Douluo's reaction, the people of this world did not know much about these things. They knew that these things were powerful, but some of them were highly toxic. Under such circumstances, even Douluo wouldn't dare to try too much. Now, that Lin Feng had come over and said that these were all treasures and that he wanted to take them away, Tang San was really surprised. Of course it's a treasure. I'm not afraid of poison, Lin Feng said casually. Tang San was speechless. Perhaps in the past, Lin Feng was afraid that he was not strong enough to deal with the toxins of these herbs. But now that his strength had increased, his ability to detoxify the toxins had also increased greatly. He was confident that he could neutralize the poison in these herbs. Even if he couldn't neutralize it in a short period of time, he could slowly neutralize it. At this time, even if Tang San was not here, Lin Feng would still dare to eat all these herbs. Of course, Lin Feng was just giving an example. Now that Tang San was by his side, he would be a fool not to use them. Fengge, these are all highly toxic things. Some poisons, even Douluo, can't neutralize them, Tang San said quickly when he saw that Lin Feng did not care. Then pick one of the non-toxic ones for me first. Lin Feng did not ask Tang San how to differentiate them. There was no need to ask such a meaningless question. Tang San nodded and grabbed a stalk of grass from the ground beside him. This is called star anise grass. Ordinary ones have the effect of refreshing a mind. This one is estimated to be more than 300 years old. Eating it will make you immune to most mental attacks. Star anise grass was a large leaf with 8 horns on it. Hence it was named. As for its effect, Tang San also explained it very easily. Eating it can increase mental resistance. For example, Xiao Wu's charm skill can be resisted if this grass is eaten. Lin Feng did not say much. He grabbed the star anise grass and stuffed it into his mouth. Chewy, chewy. After chewing a few times and swallowing, the system's prompt came out. Ding! Host has swallowed a 324-year-old star anise grass. Mental resistance has increased. Experience points plus 1,475 for only 10,000 experience points? Are you trying to dismiss a beggar? The effect of this herb is still there, but it is very low. Is it because he is too strong? Or is the age of this herb too low? Thinking about it, Lin Feng suddenly came in front of another star anise grass. Tang San said from the side, Fengge, this star anise grass is more than 200 years old. The effect is not as good as the previous one. Lin Feng did not reply. Instead, he began to inject life force into this star anise grass. A long time ago, when Lin Feng had just awakened his martial soul, he discovered that his immeasurable flower's life force had the effect of ripening plants. However, this ability was usually useless, but now it came in handy. Fengge, what are you doing? Tang San asked doubtfully. He knew that Lin Feng's first soul skill could heal soul masters and restore soul power. But what the hell was he using it on plants? Could it be that he wanted to turn plants into soul beasts? Soon, he shut his mouth, and his eyes were full of shock. What? Fengge, your soul skill can actually ripen these herbs? How is this possible? It completely violates the laws of nature. The age of the star anise grass was very simple to determine. It was based on the size of its leaves. The 100-year-old leaves were only 3 inches in size, and the later ones grew 1 inch for every 100 years. Under Lin Feng's sole skill, the 4-inch star anise grass actually grew by more than 100 years in just a few seconds. It was almost 400 years now. Furthermore, it was still growing as if it would not stop. This situation was clearly beyond Tang San's understanding. Lin Feng slapped this guy's head. What are you making a fuss about? Isn't it just ripening a herb? It's just a small matter. Although he said that, Lin Feng knew that the ripening limit of this plant was more than 400 years. It was impossible to increase it to 500 years in a short period of time. He had to wait for it to grow naturally for half a year before he could ripen it. Why was it like this? The reason was very simple. There was a limit to how much life force they could absorb. Just like Xiao Ying previously, when Lin Feng subdued it, he had been instilling life force into it. But there was also a limit. At the end, he could not inject anymore. It was the same for this plant. They all had a limit to their potential. Once they reached that limit, they could not inject anymore. Unless Lin Feng's martial soul underwent some kind of qualitative change and could completely ignore this situation. At that time, his life force would be comparable to God power or God-bestowed soul rings. He could bestow an increase in strength out of thin air, and there was no limit to it. At that time, he would not be inferior to God. Lin Feng grabbed the 400-year-old star anise grass in his hand, ignored Tang San's shocked gaze, and directly ate it. Ding! Host has consumed a 413-year-old star anise grass. Spiritual resistance has increased. Experience points plus 21218, only a little over 20,000? Isn't this a little too little? The effect of this 400-year-old medicine was at least twice as effective as the 300-year-old one, but the experience points only increased by a little. What was the reason? Resistance to the same kind of herb? Just like how the experience points of the same target would decrease if they were continuously farming? After thinking about it, this should be the reason. Chapter 197. After experimenting a few more times, Lin Feng found that the main reason why the experience points were so little was that he was too strong. The effect of the herbs on him was not strong, so the experience points were less. Also, eating the same herbs would make the experience points less and less. When it reached a certain limit, the experience points would not increase. There were also some weak herbs that had no effect on Lin Feng when he ate them, let alone give experience points. But there was one important point. Some of the herbs that were tested just now were the ones that were more common here. Among this large patch of plants, they weren't considered the best. They were probably only average. Those high quality and best quality herbs should give more experience points. Thinking about it, Lin Feng said, Xiao San, find all the best herbs in these plants for me. Okay, Feng Ge. Tang San nodded and went to find them. He could see that Lin Feng seemed to be doing some experiment. He just had to cooperate. Tang San guessed right. Lin Feng wanted to see how much experience points these best herbs would give him. If it was enough, he would spend time cultivating them. If it was too little, for example, only 100,000, Lin Feng was too lazy to care about it. Even if this land could be continuously developed and eaten for 3 months, it would probably only give him 10 to 20 million experience points. With so little, he might as well go to Heaven Do City and find someone to fight. When the investment and the harvest were not proportional, Lin Feng would not foolishly stay here. Tang San went to find the best herbs. In the past few days, he had actually found several, but he did not look for them carefully. Now he had the opportunity to find them all. On the other side, Lin Feng would not wait here. He jumped directly into the hot spring and soaked in it comfortably. Feng Ge, that hot spring is dangerous. Tang San was about to remind him, but before he could finish, he saw that Lin Feng was swimming leisurely and was not affected at all. He immediately shut his mouth. Feng Ge was a pervert. The ice fire Yin Yang well was extremely dangerous. Even a titled battle pet warrior like Douluo did not dare to stay in it for long. Tang San also had to be fully prepared before he dared to go down. Lin Feng, on the other hand, looked relaxed as if this place was really an ordinary hot spring. No one else could be like him. What is it? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. It's good. Tang San curled his lips and went to look for the best herbs. In the hot spring, Lin Feng was enjoying it. One side is cold, the other side is hot. Ice and fire. This hot spring is quite comfortable. He looked at the system. Oh, the hot spring gave him experience points. Although the hot spring, if he stayed here for a long time, it would be quite impressive. Pack pool. It would be a good choice to sleep here when he was tired in the future. After about half an hour, Tang San came over and said excitedly, Feng Ge, there are so many best herbs here. I found more than a dozen. Oh, take me there. Lin Feng jumped out of the hot spring and came to Tang San's side. He was so fast that Tang San did not even have time to react. At this point, in Tang San's mind, Lin Feng's strength had become a mystery. In the past, he had guessed that Lin Feng was a soul ancestor. But now, he could no longer guess. It was completely beyond his scope of understanding. This is an 8-petal immortal orchid. I call it an immortal herb. It is rare in the world. If it is stored in jade, it will not wither for 1,000 years and will not wither for 100 generations. Its medicinal properties are mellow and very neutral. If you eat it, you can improve your cultivation speed very quickly. I estimate that it can be maintained until you reach level 70. Lin Feng did not stop. He motioned for Tang San to continue forward. After a while, the two of them arrived in front of a sunflower-like plant. Tang San continued, I call it the coxcomb phoenix sunflower. It is a pure yang tonic and is also an immortal herb. If you give it a fatty, it might have a miraculous effect. Lin Feng did not stop walking. Tang San continued to introduce the plants. This is called the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum. This is called the beautiful silk tulip. This is called the yearning heartbroken red intestine. Lin Feng was getting a headache after hearing the introduction. After thinking for a while, he came in front of the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum. Eating this thing could greatly improve one's soul power. It also had a miraculous effect on one's physical defense. It could cultivate an indestructible body. I've decided this is it. With that in mind, Lin Feng began to use his life force to accelerate the growth of this flower. This singular velvet sky chrysanthemum was over 300 years old, and it was already mature. Lin Feng was only injecting his life force into it to increase its medicinal effects. 2 minutes later, the flower had reached its limit. It was over 500 years old. At this moment, Tang San said, Feng Ge, immortal herb is extremely potent. Be careful and eat it slowly. Don't. Lin Feng was halfway through his sentence when he grabbed the flower and swallowed it. He chewed and swallowed it in 2 bites. His quick movements made it seem as if he were just taking a bite out of a snack. Tang San, Feng Ge was no ordinary person, so he couldn't use common sense to talk to him. If he dared to eat something like this, then he must have something to back him up. Besides, Feng Ge wouldn't be injured, so Tang San didn't have to worry about anything. It's quite sweet. It melts in my mouth. Not bad, Lin Feng commented. Then, he suddenly sat down with his legs crossed. The majestic medicinal effects in his body had already exploded, and his soul power was wreaking havoc in his body. Normally, he would eat the flower petals first, then slowly eat other things. Lin Feng swallowed the flower, and the soul power in his body went berserk. However, this so-called soul power berserk was a joke. It might be fatal to a soul emperor, but in Lin Feng's body, it didn't have the slightest ripple at all. Soul power control master? Was that a joke? Ding. Host has consumed a 561-year-old singular velvet sky chrysanthemum. Soul power has increased. Physical strength has increased. Experience points plus 153. 5418. Lin Feng wasn't surprised that he received more than 1,000,000 spirit stones. He knew it would be that much when he ate the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum. The effects were quite good. Even though he was at the level of Soul Douluo, his soul power rank had increased slightly, and his physical strength had also increased slightly. As expected of an immortal herb, it was truly terrifying. Of course, the growth of his life force also accounted for most of the credit. Lin Feng estimated that if a soul ancestor ate the 500-year-old singular velvet sky chrysanthemum just now, his soul power would increase by at least 8 ranks. However, it was a bit of a pity. Lin Feng was too strong now, and an immortal herb could only give him a little more than 1,000,000 experience points. If he wasn't so strong, it was possible to get 10 million experience points per stalk. There were dozens of different stalks in this place. If he ate them for a few months, it would probably give him close to 1 billion experience points. Unfortunately, it had shrunk by 10 times. Even if he nurtured it carefully, the Icefire Yin well would only give Lin Feng 100 million experience points. This was not bad. It was still a small goal. Chapter 198. Feng Ge, how's the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum? It's very explosive, right? Tang Xin asked curiously. According to his thoughts, eating that flower just now would definitely cause soul power to vibrate. On the surface, Lin Feng looked calm and collected, but in reality, he was definitely holding it in. There's no taste. It'll taste better if you add some chili sauce. I think that 8-petal immortal orchid is pretty good. I'll eat it next. As he spoke, Lin Feng scurried over and began to instill life force into it. Is this for real? Tang San was very clear about the medicinal effects of immortal great herbs. They were extremely powerful, and even he didn't dare to eat too much of them. He only dared to eat a few stalks when he understood that the medicinal effects wouldn't clash. However, Lin Feng's singular velvet sky chrysanthemum and the 8-petal immortal orchid had very large medicinal conflicts. After eating it, his body would explode and he would die. As he thought about it, Tang San hurriedly said, Feng Ge, you can't eat too many immortal great herbs. If the medicinal effects clash, you'll die. Don't worry, it's just a small herb. I know what I'm doing. Lin Feng smiled. All right, Xiao San, find a few herbs and mark them. I'll ripen them and bring them back for Xiao Wu and the rest to eat. There were more than 10 immortal great herbs here, and many of them weren't unique. Although not many of them had ripened. With Lin Feng's magical life force, Tang Xin didn't have to worry about the ripening of the herbs. Okay, Tang Xin nodded. Since Lin Feng said that he knew what he was doing, Feng Ge must be so powerful that he ignored this effect. Tang San's reminder was useless. As he thought about it, he began to look for herbs for Xiao Wu and the rest. As for Lin Feng, he continued to ripen the 8-petal immortal orchid. These immortal grade herbs were quite potent, and the effects would last for a period of time. As for the problem of conflicting medicinal effects, Lin Feng was not worried at all, because his immeasurable flower was like a neutralizing agent. All the herbs that entered the body would be neutralized into a mild medicinal effect. Just like that, Tang San spent an entire day marking the herbs in this place according to their grades. During this period, Lin Feng's task was very simple. He started to cultivate the seeds of a single herb. As for multiple herbs, he started to speed up the ripening and then ate them. The so-called sustainable development strategy was very simple. It was to leave the seeds, accelerate their ripening, and eat them. Then leave the seeds, accelerate their ripening, and eat them. Just like eating leeks, he ate them batch by batch until he didn't gain any more experience. That's right, in Lin Feng's eyes, there were only immortal grade and superior grade herbs that were 1 grade lower. As for the star anise grass, which only gave a few tens of thousands of points, Lin Feng was too lazy to speed it up. After all, this life force ripening wasn't just about releasing soul skills, it required a lot of soul power. It was fine when he started to speed up the ripening of 1 or 2 stalks, but now Lin Feng was ripening close to 100 stalks in one go. The soul power was like a flood that had opened the floodgates, gushing out. After 2 hours of ripening, Lin Feng said that he didn't have much soul power left. After half a day of ripening, Lin Feng said that he really didn't have much soul power left. After a day of ripening, Lin Feng said that his soul power was about to be used up. At night, seeing Lin Feng suddenly stop, Tang San said with a smile, Feng Ge, your soul power has finally been used up. Your soul power capacity is really terrifying. You used it for an entire day before it dried up. Your martial soul is really amazing. Lin Feng grabbed a stalk of piercing autumn dew that had just ripened and ate it. Yeah, I used up 10% of my soul power in a day. I'm about to die from exhaustion. Tang San. Feng Ge, How much did you say just now? You only used up 10% after a day. Tang San said with a face full of shock. Yeah. Oh, my soul power has recovered. It's 100% now. Lin Feng said casually. His soul power consumption today was huge, but ever since his first soul skill became a 10,000-year soul skill, his soul power recovery speed became extremely fast. To be honest, even if he used all his strength, Lin Feng's soul power wouldn't be consumed too much. Simply speaking, he could be considered a perpetual motion machine. Being self-sufficient was truly terrifying. After choking for a while, Tang San went silent again. At this time, Lin Feng also ate the piercing autumn dew. This kind of immortal great herb was very good for the eyes. Tang San said that eating this thing could train one's fiery golden eyes and see through everything. Cough, cough. It's a little exaggerated. After eating it, Lin Feng's eyes only became clearer. Perhaps it was because his strength was too strong, so the increase wasn't much. However, the experience points given were quite a lot, more than 2 million. After eating it for a day, Lin Feng also obtained more than 30 million experience points. Of course, this was only the first day, and this was under the condition that he ate almost all the immortal great herbs. After that, he didn't have so much. Furthermore, nurturing it required time. Even if Lin Feng had a strong life force, it would take 3 to 4 days to nurture an immortal great herb to maturity. It seemed that Lin Feng could live near the ice-fire yin-yang well for this period of time, eating immortal herbs, sleeping, and hammering snakes. After 3 months, he would have a conservative estimate of 300 million experience points. With so much experience points, it would be enough for him to upgrade 300,000-year soul rings. Just thinking about it made him excited. Fengge, the herbs that we won't bring back are all packed. Are we leaving now? At this moment, Tang San said. After Lin Feng urged the ripening of the herbs, he asked Tang San to pick a few suitable herbs and bring them back. Now he had finished picking. Let's go back. If it wasn't for the fact that he was worried that Xiao Sen wouldn't be safe if he went back alone, Lin Feng wouldn't even be bothered to send him off. At this moment, he only wanted to accompany these immortal herbs. But since he was going to leave, in order to prevent Douluo from destroying them, he brought a set of all the immortal grade and top-tier herb seeds with him. Although the chances of Douluo dying together with him were very low, Lin Feng still had to be on guard. On the way back, Tang San told Lin Feng about the agreement between him and Douluo Fengge. That old man made an agreement with me. As long as I cured him and his granddaughter, he would agree to 3 conditions. Do you think I should continue to save him? You don't have to worry about Douluo. That guy has already been beaten into submission by the handsome and invincible Lord Thanos. He won't cause trouble for you in the future. Lin Feng was very natural when he praised himself. Oh, I see. Tang San continued to ask. Fengge was the person at the Heaven Do Academy, also Lord Thanos. When the 3 education committee members had mentioned the masked man, Tang San had thought of Thanos. After all, among all the titled law he knew, Thanos was the only one who wore a mask. He had never heard of any other titled law wearing a mask. Besides, Lord Thanos had helped him today. Tang San believed that this was very likely. His thoughts were similar to Xueqinghe's. The current titled law Thanos might not be the same person as the titled Thanos from the Soul Hunting Forest. They just used the same name. After all, it had only been 6 years. No matter how powerful the Soul Hunting Forest was, it couldn't have been the only Soul Douluo. Why would the Soul Douluo go to the Soul Hunting Forest? Therefore, Tang San believed that this Thanos was the elder of the Soul Thanos for back then. It was very likely that this Thanos was his father. As for Lin Feng, he must have a deep relationship with Thanos. Otherwise, how could anyone summon a titled Douluo? According to what he had learned over the past few days, Douluo was a guest of Prince Xueqing, but he didn't follow orders. He had a high degree of autonomy. If Douluo was like this, then His Holiness Thanos wouldn't have come if he didn't have a deep relationship with Lin Feng. Chapter 199. No, Lin Feng chuckled. Douluo must have messed with someone he shouldn't have messed with, so he's asking for a beating. I see. Tang San nodded and didn't think too much about it. Feng Ge had to be mysterious, and Tang San had never thought of probing into Lin Feng's mysteries. After all, given their relationship, Lin Feng would have told him if he could. If Tang San didn't tell him, it would be for his own good. That was right. Tang San's thoughts were that simple. After all, he wouldn't judge others with ill intentions. At the same time, Lin Feng and Tang San were rushing toward Heavendo City. In the poison array, Lin Feng's clone stood up leisurely and smiled at Douluo, whose hands were trembling as he drank his tea. I hope to see you here tomorrow afternoon. With that said, the clone flew into the sky and disappeared in an instant. Douluo shook his head bitterly. That guy is too strong. He was a mighty tidal battle pet warrior like Douluo, but he had been intimidated by that masked man for an entire day. Ever since he retreated from the valley, the masked man had immediately chased after him and had been drinking tea with him for an entire day. Douluo was afraid that the masked man would misunderstand, so he didn't dare to say anything. All he could do was drink tea with the masked man. Douluo had been under a lot of pressure for the entire day. He finally breathed a sigh of relief when he left. I just hope he can keep his promise. Douluo had thought about fighting back and running away, but those were too risky. Fighting back was one thing. He was a lone wolf and didn't know many people outside. Unless he joined the Seven Treasures Glaze sect or the Martial Spirit Palace, who would help him? Those people from Heavendo City? Those people from Heavendo City were about the same level as him. Even if they attacked together, they wouldn't be able to do anything to the masked man. Douluo also knew that the masked man could summon another clone of the same level. When that happened, the masked man would be able to defeat the two of them. As for joining a faction, Douluo had never considered this point. The reason why he had never joined a major faction was because he didn't like restrictions. If he were to join a large faction in order to survive, he might as well gamble on Lin Feng's promise. Lin Feng didn't even take his pill beads. What did this mean? He didn't even put him in his eyes. It was because of this that Douluo was willing to take this gamble. If they wanted to kill him, he would have been killed today. Why would they want him to stay here for 3 months? As for running away, that was the last resort. If the other party followed him, wouldn't he be dead if he tried to escape? Moreover, he couldn't possibly run away alone, right? If he ran away, wouldn't his family and relatives be implicated? This was something that Douluo absolutely did not want to see. As for bringing him along, that would cause too much of a commotion, and it was impossible not to attract attention. All in all, it was more likely that Lin Feng would keep his promise. If Lin Feng knew that Douluo was thinking so much, he would probably be amused. However, Douluo was right about one thing. Lin Feng didn't take him seriously from the very beginning. Even if he ran away, it wouldn't matter. After all, there were still several tidal battle pet warriors in Heavendo City, Douluo, Shrek Academy. After a day of searching, Lu Erlong and the others returned, looking exhausted. Everyone gathered around and greeted them. Principal, did you find third brother? Xiao Wu asked in a relaxed manner. Feng Ge had returned, and she was holding Xiaoing in her arms. She was no longer afraid and nervous. Not yet. The Grandmaster shook his head in vexation. That Douluo hid too deeply. We couldn't find any trace of him. Flanders analyzed. Don't worry, Xiao, Sam must be fine. Otherwise, Douluo would have come out a long time ago and wouldn't have hidden for so long. They must be somewhere. Lu Erlong added. We think they should be in the Sunset Forest. But the forest is huge, and it will take a long time to find them. Have you seen Feng Ge? He also went out to search, Ning Rongrong asked. Xiao Feng also went out to search after he came back. The Grandmaster was surprised. Yes, he arrived this morning. He has been out for a day, Ma Hongjun added. He told us that third brother must be fine, right? He also said that he would ask Thanos to help him. Thanos, Lord Thanos. Zhao Wuji said in shock. This phone brat is really something. Old Ghost Fu, look, I guessed right. A long time ago, when he had just returned from the Stardo Great Forest, he had told Flanders that Lin Feng might be related to this Thanos, and that their relationship was not shallow. Now, he had guessed correctly, so he was inexplicably excited. He really said that he could ask Thanos, Lord Thanos? Flanders was shocked, but he still asked. He said so, and Fenggu also said that he would be able to find third brother today and bring him back. He was full of confidence when he said that. Ning Rongrong said. Hearing this, Flanders and the others didn't know what to say. At this time, a voice suddenly came from not far away. I think I heard someone say that I am handsome behind my back. Who is it? Rongrong? Laughing, Lin Feng carried Tang San to the crowd. Third brother. Xiao Wu threw Xiao Ying to Ning Rongrong beside her, then rushed toward Tang San. The others also surrounded them, but Xiao Ying looked at Xiao Wu bitterly, then jumped on a Lin Feng's shoulder. Everyone was very excited, and it took a long time before they slowly calmed down. Zhao Wuji said with emotion, I'm getting old. We couldn't find him for so long, but little Feng found him so quickly. Lin Feng smiled. Lord Thanos is still the best. He was the one who rescued Xiao San. Where is His Majesty's Slayer Overlord? We want to thank him in person. Master hurriedly said. Speaking of which, they have been saved by Lord Thanos several times. If they didn't thank him in person, they would feel bad. Lin Feng laughed. Lord said that he had something to do and had to leave first, so we won't be able to see him for a while. Is that so? That's a pity. Master sighed softly. Lin Feng suddenly said, If you really want to thank someone, you can thank me. I have a good relationship with Lord Thanos, so thanking me is the same as thanking him. Everyone was speechless. Fenggu is really thick-skinned. Ning Rongrong muttered softly. This caused everyone to burst into laughter. Lin Feng was handsome, but he was a little narcissistic. Oomph. How dare you say that I'm thick-skinned? I wonder who was the one who said that I was handsome behind my back. Lin Feng mocked. I only said that you were confident. What did I say that you were handsome? Ning Rongrong put her hands on her hips and pouted angrily. However, in her heart, she thought to herself, Fenggu is handsome, but he's too infuriating. Handsome is handsome. What's there to be embarrassed about? Back in Noden City, everyone in the academy said that I was handsome. If you don't believe me, ask Tang San. Everyone was speechless. Chapter 200. After messing around for a while, Tang San said with a stern expression, We brought back some treasures that are very useful to each of us. As long as we eat them, we should be able to increase our soul power by a lot. Treasures that can directly increase one's soul power by a lot. Everyone cried out in surprise. There were shortcuts to soul power cultivation, but those who took shortcuts did not have a good ending. Evil soul masters were almost unable to break through to soul sage in their lifetime, and their strength would not be very strong. As for those soul masters who used medicines to hasten the growth of their soul power, they might be able to increase their soul power very quickly in a short period of time, but they would encounter greater resistance when breaking through to higher ranks in the future. Therefore, in the eyes of the master, things that directly increased one's soul power were all crooked methods. Only normal cultivation was the best. At this moment, the treasures that Tang Sin spoke of should be the special medicines refined by Poison Douluo. He cautiously said, If you use medicines to increase your strength, it will only be harmful to geniuses like you. Your potential is very great. If you forcefully overdraft your potential, it will have a very big impact on your future. These words made Lin Feng think of a main character in a novel from his previous life. That was Han Li in the mortal cultivation world. This guy was a ruthless person who ate medicinal pills as if they were jelly beans. His bottleneck was very big and very difficult to break through, but the quality of the medicinal pills he ate was indeed continuously increasing. In this way, as long as he ate enough medicinal pills, the bottleneck would not be able to catch up to him. It was very clear that Douluo's world was simply unable to achieve this kind of situation. This was because the upper limit of this world was too low. A titled Douluo-level powerhouse was only SOSO. It was estimated that the gods would not be that strong either. Tang San said with great confidence, Teacher, you can rest assured. These things are completely harmless. They are all top-notch medicinal herbs that are extremely compatible. Eating them will only be beneficial. Furthermore, these things were all matured by Feng using his soul skills. The medicinal effects are extremely strong, and can increase your aptitude. Hearing this, everyone revealed a curious expression. They really wanted to know what these top-notch medicinal herbs were. Were they really so miraculous? Since it's like this, then you could give it a try. The master knew that Lin Feng was a steady child. At this time, since Lin Feng didn't say anything, he also felt that it shouldn't be a big problem. The medicinal power is very strong, and the effect will be better if you all absorb it together. In order to avoid being disturbed while absorbing it, we need to find a quiet place, Tang San said. How about this? Look at my place. It's quiet there, Lu Erlong said. All right, just like that, the group of people walked into the forest, full of curiosity. It had to be said that the soundproofing effect of the forest was very good. Lu Erlong's residence was incomparably quiet. Even the hustle and bustle of the city could not be heard. Fengge, hurry up and take it out. We've been waiting for a long time. When they arrived at their destination, everyone was itching to hurry up. Lin Feng didn't keep Hui Yuhao in suspense and directly took out the herbs from his soul tool. They were all contained in jade boxes, looking very luxurious. For immortal herbs, the younger one was, the better the effect would be. For someone of Grandmaster's age, it would be a waste to eat it. The effect might not even be as good as some top-grade herbs. Therefore, the two of them only prepared immortal herbs for Shrek's 7 monsters. As for Lu Erlong and the others, they prepared top-grade herbs. Dean, you all can eat these top-grade herbs. Their medicinal effects are about the same. However, they've been strengthened by me and should be very helpful to soul sages. After eating them, you should be able to advance by 1 rank. Even soul sages can advance by 1 rank. Flanders and the others were astonished. Soul masters who were soul sages and above cultivated very slowly. Even geniuses would need to spend 1 or 2 years before they could advance. However, this stock of herb could actually last for 1 or 2 years. It was terrifying. Lin Feng laughed and continued. If Grandmaster eats them, he might become a soul elder. What? Become a soul elder? Grandmaster was astonished. Grandmaster could never cross the threshold of becoming a soul elder in his life. His innate soul power was too low. After cultivating to become a soul Grandmaster, he had reached his limit. Right now, Lin Feng was actually saying that he might become a soul elder. This made him very excited. You'll know after you eat them. Lin Feng handed over the boxes of herbs to Grandmaster. He then turned to Xiao Wu and the others, who were all staring at him with eager eyes. This is called the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum. It's good for your body. Mubai, this is for you. This is called the 8-petal immortal orchid. It'll increase your cultivation speed. This is for you, Xiao Ao. This is called the coxcomb phoenix flower. It can replenish your yang energy. This is for you, Fatty. This is called the beautiful silk tulip. It can also increase your cultivation speed. Rong Rong, this is for you. These last two are called the yearning broken red intestines and the daffodil jade skin bone. This red intestine has a spiritual nature, so it can only be eaten if it's approved. This jade skin can improve one's constitution. Xiao Wu and Take Shi have a taste and see who could be approved by this red intestine. Tang San felt like Lin Feng was giving away these immortal herbs as an insult to the word immortal. These were clearly all very powerful immortal herbs, but in Lin Feng's mouth, they were like cabbages that could only be bought from the market. He heaved a faint sigh before telling everyone how to eat these immortal herbs, and he even told everyone the story of the yearning broken red intestines. Everyone was very touched upon hearing this. So there's a story behind this immortal herb. Only those who are in love with it can receive its approval. At this time, Ning Rongrong shouted, "Brother Feng, how could you ignore me? You're biased and didn't include me among the 3 girls." Tang San explained, "Rongrong, that beautiful silk tulip is more suitable for you than this yearning broken red intestines, and its medicinal effects will also be better. So that's how it is." Ning Rongrong nodded, but she quickly said, "But I also want to give it a try. I'll definitely be approved by this spirit herb." Lin Feng was quite amused by this, and he tossed the yearning broken red intestines directly to Ning Rongrong. "Come on, give it a try. You sure know how to talk big, little girl." She carefully caught the herb, then followed Tang San's instructions. She thought of the person she loved in her heart and dripped a drop of blood onto the herb. If one's heart was sincere enough, and the love at the bottom of their heart was strong enough, then the yearning, broken red intestines would be able to be plucked. Otherwise, no one would be able to pluck this flower. At this moment, the thought of Lin Feng appeared in Ning Rongrong's heart. From their first encounter at the hotel, to the Shrek Academy, to what Grandpa Jian had said to her in the Star Do Great Forest, everything that had happened between them. Ning Rongrong felt like she liked Lin Feng. Even Grandpa Jian could tell, and so could everyone else. As such, she should be able to receive the approval of this flower, right? At this moment, everyone turned their attention to the yearning, broken red intestines. However, in the end, the flower swayed slightly, but in the end, it still remained standing as firm as a rock. Ning Rongrong had failed. Chapter 201. I failed. Ning Rongrong's expression darkened. She couldn't understand. She clearly liked Lin Feng, and even the people around her knew that she liked him, but she couldn't get the flower's approval. The story of this flower. Could it be that the third brother had made it up? At this moment, Ning Rongrong didn't look for the reason from herself. Instead, she was thinking about someone else. In fact, she didn't understand that liking someone wasn't love. Rongrong, it seems that your love for someone isn't deep enough, Xiao Wu teased. No way. Ning Rongrong quickly denied. This sentence made everyone laugh, and it resolved Ning Rongrong's embarrassment. Who's going to try next? Lin Feng didn't say much and asked directly. This made Ning Rongrong slightly angry. Feng was really stupid. He didn't even ask who she was thinking about. However, although she thought so, she didn't dare to say it out loud. She could only watch silently. I'll do it. Xiao Wu wanted to speak, but Zhu Zhuqing spoke first. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong handed the yearning, heartbroken red sausage over. Everyone was very curious. Would Zhu Zhuqing succeed? Especially Dai Mubai. As Zhu Zhuqing's fiancé, Dai Mubai had been wanting to talk to her since she entered Shrek Academy. However, the latter had always avoided him. Even if they met, she didn't talk to him much. At this moment, Dai Mubai couldn't see through Zhu Zhuqing's thoughts, so he was also very curious about who Zhu Zhuqing was thinking about. Lin Feng remembered that in the original work, Zhu Zhuqing's love for Dai Mubai wasn't firm enough, so there was no way to pluck this flower. Only Xiao Wu could use this yearning, heartbroken red intestine. Just as he was thinking about this, Zhu Zhuqing had already grabbed the yearning, broken sausage in his hand. Without the slightest hesitation, Zhu Zhuqing took a deep breath. The qi and blood in his body surged, and he spat out a mouthful of blood onto the flower petal. In Zhu Zhuqing's mind, the figure of that youth quietly appeared. Although it had only been half a year, Zhu Zhuqing had thought of many things in Soto City. She was disgusted by the young man's impulsiveness. In front of the Shrek Academy's gate, the latter's strength and soul rings had shocked her. On the Academy's field, an auxiliary-type soul master like him was actually able to easily take on 2 people by himself. In the Star Do Great Forest, there was an incomparably steady figure walking at the very front. It was as if there was no danger in the entire forest with him around. The sneak attacks of soul beasts seemed to be a joke. Later on, he even rushed into the depths of the forest for his teammates without hesitation. In the Great Soul Arena, his careful guidance, the brand new feeling of using martial soul fusion techniques, and the harsh face during training. All of this made her heart slowly change from the initial disgust to shock, curiosity, favorable impression, and finally, her heart belonged to someone. But unfortunately, she could only hide her thoughts deep in her heart. The pressure on her was too heavy. She couldn't afford the so-called love, nor was she worthy. Wow, it's going to fall, Tang Xin exclaimed. The flower petal shook violently, as if it would fall at any time. Everyone's eyes widened. They were very curious about the person in Zhu Zhuqing's heart. Who was it that could make Zhu Zhuqing have such a strong love? Tang Xin had just said that unless one had the most sincere love for someone, the flower petal would not fall. At this moment, the flower was shaking like this, indicating that Zhu Zhuqing's love was very strong. It was at least 10 times stronger than Ning Rongrong's love just now. Could it be me? This thought emerged in Dai Mubai's heart. Although he knew that the possibility was very low, it didn't prevent him from thinking about it. Ning Rongrong exclaimed, "Amazing! Take Shi usually doesn't say a word. We don't even know who she is thinking about." On the side, Lin Feng certainly knew who she was thinking about. It must be Dai Mubai. This enigmatic gourd didn't say anything, and Dai Mubai was very impetuous. Zhu Zhuqing was probably going to be angered to death in the past 6 months. However, this Zhu Zhuqing's love for Dai Mubai was quite deep. Lin Feng remembered that in the original work, Zhu Zhuqing only made the yearning heartbroken red intestines shake a little. It didn't shake so much. Just as he was thinking about this, the yearning heartbroken red intestines, which seemed to be on the verge of collapse, finally stabilized. Zhu Zhuqing sighed. The pressure in her heart was too great. If it weren't for her family and her own strength, she would definitely dare to love and hate. Unfortunately, she couldn't do it. Seeing this, Lin Feng had an expression of as expected. Zhu Zhuqing was still a bit lacking. Ning Rongrong was the first to step forward and comfort. "Take Shi. You are amazing. You can actually make this flower shake so much. Tell me, who was it that stole your heart without a sound?" Everyone was very curious, but Zhu Zhuqing just smiled and didn't say anything. "Fengge, it seems that this flower doesn't acknowledge me." Zhu Zhuqing put the yearning, heartbroken red intestines back in Lin Feng's hand. Then, after taking a deep look at Lin Feng, she turned and left. Wait, why did Zhu Zhuqing look at me for the last time? Why was there a trace of loneliness in her eyes? This girl, could it be that she was thinking about me just now? Lin Feng had left her with the worst first impression in Soto City. Later on, she was also very indifferent to me. How could she like me? Lin Feng could still tell that Ning Rongrong liked me. After all, it was too obvious. Zhu Zhuqing liked me. It shouldn't be, right? Although he was very handsome, he felt that he was still a bit lacking to make Zhu Zhuqing fall in love with him so deeply. Strange, very strange. At this time, Xiao Wu happily jumped over. "Fengge, it's my turn." In Tang San's opinion, Ning Rongrong was the most likely to succeed, followed by Lu Erlong. After all, it was obvious that Ning Rongrong liked Lin Feng. Lu Erlong's love for the master hadn't changed even after 20 years. It was enough to move this flower. However, this kind of herb that was close to the divine grade would have a stronger effect on the younger person. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't consider the older generation. He still chose from the younger generation. "Xiao Wu, you can do it. With your love for Xiao San, it's enough to move this flower." Lin Feng said with a smile. "No way," Xiao Wu snorted. She grabbed the yearning broken sausage and ran away. She wanted to secretly pick this flower alone and not show it to others. Tang San blushed and said, "Fengge, don't talk nonsense." "What do you mean by nonsense? Xiao Wu likes you so much. She can't run away." Lin Feng looked around. "If you don't believe me, you can ask around. Is there anyone who can't tell the relationship between you and Xiao Wu?" "I could tell a long time ago," Oscar said with a smile. "You still can't tell?" "I could tell when I first came to the academy." Ma Hongjun also said. Dai Mubai, on the other hand, said proudly, "This is nothing. I could tell when we were at the hotel." Tang San. Chapter 202. Tang San actually cared about the title of Xiao Wu's younger sister, but looking at the current situation, it seemed like only he cared. Suddenly, Tang San thought of the master and Lu Erlong. If he was afraid, wouldn't he become a master? That's not good for the master. It's better not to become him. Xiao San, just admit it. No one is looking down on you. Lin Feng said with a smile. "Don't tell me you want to marry Xiao Wu to someone else in the future. How can that be?" Tang San immediately retorted. Everyone instantly cheered and was filled with joy. At this moment, Xiao Wu ran back excitedly. "Third brother, I did it. I plucked this flower." This time, the crowd cheered even louder. Everyone's faces were filled with smiles. However, under Zhu Zhuqing's smile, there was a bit of bitterness and envy. Ning Rongrong's eyes were also filled with envy. She imagined the time when she grew up with Lin Feng and the scene when she brought Lin Feng back to the Seven Treasures glazed sect. Seeing this scene, everyone had different thoughts in their hearts. After a long while, Lin Feng handed the Narcissus jade skin bone to Zhu Zhuqing after the cheers subsided. All right, everyone gather together and prepare to swallow these herbs together to increase your strength. Eating these immortal herbs will increase your soul power by 5 or 6 ranks. Xiao Wu's herb might even let you become a soul ancestor directly. That's the best immortal herb. In the original work, the yearning heartbroken sausage could increase a person's strength by 10 ranks in the Soul Elder realm. Lin Feng's herb had been strengthened by him, so it would only be stronger. Fengge, can I not eat it? I want to keep it. Xiao Wu discovered that this immortal herb had a concealing effect on her soul beast aura. As long as she held this flower on her body, even titled Douluo would not be able to see her true body. That won't do, you have to eat. Lin Feng knew what she was worried about, but it was nothing at all. Oh. Xiao Wu nodded and didn't say much. If it was really as miraculous as Lin Feng said, it would be good for her to break through to level 60 as soon as possible. At this time, Xiao Wu found that Tang San and Lin Feng didn't have any herbs. She quickly said, Fengge, why don't you and third brother have any? I've already eaten, Lin Feng said casually, as if he had eaten a meal. The corners of Tang San's mouth twitched slightly when he heard this. In Feng Ji's words, these immortal herbs were no different from cabbages. He took out a herb from his 24 moonlit bridges, piercing autumn dew. I have one here. It's called Piercing Autumn Dew. Eating it won't improve my strength, but it can help my purple demon eyes reach a higher level. Xiao Wu frowned. Third brother, this is just a supplementary herb, right? Why don't you give yourself one that can improve your strength? I feel like the rest of us have better herbs than you do. Everyone was curious about this as well. The herbs Tang San had were similar to the ones the masters had. They couldn't compare at all. Tang San explained, I've already eaten 2 immortal herbs, so I'm full of them. I didn't dare to eat this one at first. I would have had to wait for at least half a year before I could eat it. But Fengge suppressed the effects in my body today, so I ate it. So that was why. Everyone understood. Actually, Lin Feng wasn't suppressing the medicinal effects in Tang San's body. He was just spreading the medicinal effects throughout his body. This way, if he ate another immortal herb, he wouldn't explode and die. That's right. The 2 immortal herbs Tang San ate earlier were also supplementary herbs. They didn't increase his strength by much, but they made Tang San's aptitude extremely strong. His aptitude was probably the best in the entire continent of Douluo, even if the main effect of the 2 immortal herbs was to increase aptitude. With Lin Feng's soul force spreading, Tang San's strength reached rank 39. At this time, Ma Hongjun seemed to realize something. He quickly said, Fengge, eating one of these immortal herbs can increase one's soul force by 5 or 6 ranks. If I eat 3 or 4 of them, won't I break through to the soul ancestor level? In your dreams, Lin Feng rewarded him with a smack on the head. Didn't you hear what Xiao San said? One immortal herb is already very strong. His situation is special. The 2 immortal herbs he ate earlier were mild in nature and didn't directly increase his strength. Even so, he could only eat 3 of them under my suppression. If he ate any more, he'd explode and die. You're eating these immortal herbs that increase your soul force. Eating one of them is already very good. Tang San then added, in addition to the medicinal power of these immortal herbs, their medicinal properties are also very strong. After eating this one, if you eat a second one, the medicinal power in your body will directly reject it. Therefore, before the medicinal power of this one is completely digested, you are not allowed to eat a second one. That's all. As soul exalts, we won't be able to completely digest these herbs until we become soul sages. So that's how it is. Ma Hongju nodded, but then he quickly asked, then I'm already ranked 29. Wouldn't eating these be a waste? I'll be ranked 30 after eating them. Why don't I wait until I'm ranked 30 before eating them? The Grandmaster answered, don't worry and eat them. Soul power will accumulate in your body and won't be wasted. When you get your 3rd soul ring, you'll break through several ranks in one go. These are the Grandmaster's 10 core strengths. In fact, the Grandmaster had said this before, and Ma Hongjun was just confirming it again. All right, everyone start eating. After eating, cultivate well tonight. Tomorrow, I'll bring you to the forest to get your soul rings. Under Lin Feng's organization, the group gathered together and started eating the immortal herbs in their hands. The medicinal properties of the immortal herbs were extremely terrifying. Even with Lin Feng's current cultivation, he couldn't completely digest all of the medicinal properties in a day. There was still a lot of medicinal properties in his body. As for Tang San and the others, even if they were to simply absorb a little, it would take a very long time. Moreover, when they absorbed the medicinal properties, all of them had strange phenomena. Soul rings, soul power, everything was fluctuating. Even their martial souls automatically possessed their bodies and underwent changes. The ones with the biggest changes were those with beast martial souls. Their martial souls were constantly changing in their bodies. A white tiger phantom appeared on Dai Mubai's body. His bones were constantly crackling, and everyone could faintly hear a tiger's roar. Zhu Zhuqing's body was suffused with a faint jade light. The phantom of the netherworld civet appeared, looking very holy. If one looked carefully, the phantom of the netherworld civet seemed to be transforming. Ma Hongjun, on the other hand, had his clothes burn away. Under the effects of the medicine, his entire body seemed to be on fire. His originally slightly plump figure slowly became more robust, and his martial soul also became more gorgeous. Xiao Wu's phantom of the soft-boned demon rabbit appeared. Her body emitted a pink light, and she looked very cute. There was no need to mention Lu Erlong, Zhao Wuji, and Flanders. Because they were strong, their phenomena were even more obvious. And because they were strong, they absorbed most of the top-grade herbs in less than half an hour. The top-grade herbs were still far from the immortal herbs. After absorbing the medicinal properties, it only increased their strength by 1 level. In order not to disturb everyone's absorption, the 3 of them left together. But the weak master was still there, slowly absorbing. As for the few support-type soul masters, they didn't have such a big phenomenon, but they all emitted light and looked very beautiful. Tang San was an exception. His body didn't emit light, but his eyes were shining. Looking at the special effects on everyone, Lin Feng couldn't help but think of the ordinary situation when he ate these herbs. There was no light at all. Thinking of this, he felt that he was a weak chicken. Chapter 203. Other than the 3 soul sages who had left after absorbing the medicinal power, the others were still in the process of refining the medicinal power. The medicinal power of an immortal herb was too strong for them. They had started eating it at night. It was already 4 or 5 in the morning, but this group of people still hadn't finished absorbing it. When dawn broke, Oscar was the first to wake up. He stood up and stretched with a look of enjoyment. It's so comfortable. After opening his eyes and seeing Lin Feng, he ran over excitedly. Fengge, I'm rank 39 now. This herb is so strong. It raised me by 7 ranks. Furthermore, I feel like I'll be able to reach rank 40 soon. Fengge, I love you so much. If I wasn't a guy, I would definitely marry you. Oscar was very excited. He could feel that his cultivation speed had increased a lot because of this herb. According to Tang San, this effect could last until he became a soul sage. In this case, it was almost certain that he would become a titled Douluo before the age of 50. Shut up if you don't know how to talk. Marry me? You're so disgusting. Lin Feng gave Oscar a knock on the head. Although he was in so much pain that he was about to cry, Oscar couldn't help but be excited. Furthermore, he also realized that his martial soul seemed to have been strengthened. Although its nature hadn't changed, its effect should be twice as strong as before. His soul skills must have been strengthened too. Just as he was about to test it out, Tang San suddenly opened his eyes. Golden light flickered in his eyes as he scanned the people around him. When he saw Xiao Wu, his eyes paused for a moment. After that, he looked at Lin Feng and Oscar. Xiao Ao is rank 39 now. That's impressive. He's actually the same as me, Tang San said with a smile. What? You're rank 39 too? Didn't your herb, not increase your soul power? Oscar said in disbelief. In everyone's impression, Tang San's strength should be at most rank 35. After all, he said yesterday that the immortal herbs he ate didn't increase his soul power rank. I'm just hiding my strength. Tang San chuckled. Concealment was for outsiders, while true power was for those close to him. In Tang San's eyes, Shrek's 7 monsters were already very close to him. Therefore, he no longer intended to hide the truth from them. Furthermore, their main strength should have reached the soul ancestor level by now. He couldn't continue to pretend to be a weakling, could he? His goal was to surpass the super monster Lin Feng. Super monster was the nickname that Tang San had just given to Lin Feng. He had eaten more than 30 stalks of immortal grade and top-level herbs in a row, but he was still fine. This situation was completely beyond Tang San's understanding. Super monster, he really lived up to his name. If he's hiding his strength, doesn't that mean Feng Ge is also? Oscar was just about to say something. Dai Mubai's laughter could be heard. I'm rank 40, haha. Suddenly, it was as if a switch had been flipped, and everyone woke up one by one. Xiao Wu laughed. I'm rank 42. Thank you, Feng Ge. She ran over happily and kissed Lin Feng's face. After that, she also kissed Tang San. Ning Rongrong was also very excited. When she saw this, she also ran over and kissed Lin Feng on the other side of his face. When Ma Hongjun saw this, he also wanted to run over and kiss Wei Yuhao. Lin Feng used his soul power to send him flying. At the same time, he said disdainfully, Fatty, don't disgust me. See for yourself if you're wearing any clothes. It would have been better if he hadn't said that. Once he said that, everyone looked over. Fatty immediately turned around with a flushed face. He hurriedly took out his clothes from his soul tool and put them on. This scene caused everyone to burst into laughter. Zhu Zhuqing also walked over at this moment. Although she was very excited and wanted to run over and give Lin Feng a kiss, she didn't do it in the end. She walked to everyone's side and said, I'm rank 32. At this moment, Grandmaster also stood up and said in disbelief, I'm rank 30. It's been more than 30 years. I didn't expect that I would be able to break through to rank 31 day. It seems like I've always underestimated external forces. All this time, Grandmaster had never studied external forces. In his heart, external forces were crooked. Grandmaster was considered an extremely strong scholar, but he couldn't be considered a researcher. This was because researchers had the spirit of daring to explore. They wouldn't be restricted by old ideas. They dared to innovate and wouldn't deny something just based on their subjective will. Grandmaster obviously didn't have such a spirit of innovation. His thinking was old. Of course, this was also limited by the era. In a feudal era, it was already very impressive for Grandmaster to have such a one-sided spirit of exploration towards martial souls. Teacher, congratulations. You can break through to rank 30 this time. Who knows? Your future cultivation will progress by leaps and bounds. Tang San immediately went over to congratulate him. Everyone else also went over to congratulate him. Grandmaster smiled and said, I'm already more than 50 years old. Don't even think about leaps and bounds. You kids still have hope. With the help of this immortal herb, your future achievements will be limitless. Grandmaster was sure that the 8 of them could reach the titled rank Douluo in the past. At this moment, Lin Feng chuckled. All of you release your martial souls and feel it. See if there are any changes? Yes, my martial soul's strength has doubled. I feel like my martial soul's name can't be called Sausage anymore. It should be called Super Sausage. Oscar said excitedly. The others also summoned their martial souls. For a moment, there were exclamations everywhere. My white tiger martial soul's strength has increased by at least 50%. Dai Mubai said. Ma Hongjun was also a show-off. My martial soul has evolved into a phoenix. Its strength has at least doubled. Also, I'm not fat at all. You're not allowed to call me fatty in the future. Xiao Wu's martial soul didn't change much. However, Lin Feng could see that her martial soul's strength had increased by 2 times. Why didn't her martial soul evolve? It should be because of her special ability of a soul beast to transform into a human. Of course, Tang San didn't change much. He didn't even release his martial soul. Zhu Zhuqing was relatively quiet. She didn't shout anything. However, Lin Feng realized that his martial soul seemed to have changed the most. Originally, his netherworld civet martial soul was dark purple. This was a mid-grade martial soul. But now, it had turned light purple and even emitted a white light. Lin Feng could sense that Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul had definitely evolved into a top-grade martial soul. Just as he was thinking about this, Ning Rongrong suddenly shouted, "My martial soul! Wait! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What? It's actually 9 levels. I actually broke through the 7 treasures glazed sex martial soul limit." Ning Rongrong felt her blood rushing to her head. She was so excited that she couldn't speak coherently. Even her voice was trembling. The 9 treasures glazed pagoda was her father's lifelong pursuit. It was even the pursuit of the entire sect. This was a martial soul that only existed in legends. Her father told her that if the 9 treasures glazed pagoda were to appear, no martial soul in the entire continent would be able to compete with it. They would have the opportunity to become a titled Douluo, and a titled level soul master with the 9 treasures glazed pagoda could even make a top-grade titled Douluo, God Slayer. Now, Ning Rongrong had actually achieved Ning Fengji's lifelong pursuit. At this moment, she was so excited that she didn't know what to say. Her entire mind was blank. Chapter 204. Rongrong, don't be agitated. Calm down. Yes, calm down. I need to calm down. Ning Rongrong took a few deep breaths before she slowly calmed down. Then, she said gratefully, "Fenggu, thank you so much. My 7 treasures glazed pagoda has broken through to the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. This means that I have broken through the restrictions of the inheritance and have a stronger future. The future of the entire sect. Fenggu, it seems that I can only repay such a great favor by marrying you," Ning Rongrong said seriously. She felt that Lin Feng was her real name, Tianzi. She had a good impression of him before, and now that he had helped her break through the restrictions of her family's martial soul, coupled with his strong strength, she wouldn't lose out if she married him. This isn't my credit alone. If Shaoxin hadn't identified these herbs, I wouldn't have been able to bring them back. If that's the case, wouldn't you be betrothed to the 2 of us at once? Lin Feng chuckled. They were only 13 years old. To Lin Feng, it was like a joke for little girls to talk about marriage. Third brother already has Xiaowu. I can't possibly snatch Xiaowu, right? Ning Rongrong's words made everyone smile involuntarily. Seeing that this girl was serious, Lin Feng quickly changed the topic. Takechi's martial soul has evolved, right? It doesn't feel any weaker than a top-grade martial soul. Tang Xin nodded and said, "I have estimated the original effects of these herbs, but after Feng Ji's martial soul skill ripened them, they seem to have become more powerful. It has strengthened or evolved everyone's martial souls. My martial soul should have evolved, but I have never seen an evolved martial soul before. It should be a mutation." Zhu Zhuqing pondered and said. Her martial soul was indeed new. Its entire body was emitting white light, and it was a cat with a hint of purple. None of them had seen a martial soul like this before. Even the most knowledgeable grandmasters couldn't name it. Then it's a new martial spirit. A new martial spirit is good. Come, I'll give you a name. Lin Feng's heart moved. Let's call it. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expression changed. Tang Xin grabbed Lin Feng and said, "Fenggu, there's no need for that." Lin Feng's naming skills were obvious to all. Black Tiger, Fu, Yasuo, Rainbow Firebird, Rainbow White Rabbit, they were all terrible names. Fine. Lin Feng swallowed the big white cat in his mouth when he saw the fear in everyone's eyes. "Let's call it Holy Spirit Cat," Zhu Zhuqing said. She realized that this martial soul seemed to contain some kind of strange power. It felt like a new kind of energy. As she thought about it, she suddenly drew a claw in the air in front of her. A white light flashed, and there were some white soul power balls in the attack. Oscar was curious and wanted to touch it, but Zhu Zhuqing shouted, "Don't touch it." As he said that, The white soul power balls exploded. This is an ability that came with my martial soul after it evolved. When I attack, I can attach this soul power ball to the enemy. It's controlled by me. A little of it may not be lethal enough, but if it's gathered too much, it can cause great damage when it explodes. Lin Feng finally understood. Wasn't this the same as the E skill of the skateboard shoes in LOL? As long as there were enough stacks, even a dragon could be killed in an instant. This white soul powerball is called Holy Cat, but I think Big White Cat sounds better. Lin Feng was stubbornly making his last stand. We all think Holy Spirit Cat sounds better. Everyone said in unison. Lin Feng. After a while, Daimu Bai said, my martial soul is already a top-notch martial soul. It didn't evolve this time, but the strength of my martial soul has increased by 50%. Boss Dai, you can't do it. Look at my new martial soul, Fire Phoenix. Ma Hongjun shouted. As he said that, his martial soul phantom appeared. It was a vivid image of a fire phoenix. Coupled with his current appearance, the word evil could be removed. The herbs Feng Ge gave me are too good. My problem of excessive evil fire has been removed. My martial soul has also doubled in strength. Most importantly, I've become more handsome. At this moment, Ma Hongjun was full of confidence. He had successfully slimmed down. Fatty, you're so shameless. No matter how handsome you are, you're not as handsome as Feng Ge. Xiao Wu said, of course I'm not as handsome as Feng Ge, but I'm still very handsome. Ma Hongjun touched his head. Can you stop calling me Fatty? I'm not fat anymore. Okay, Fatty. Everyone said in unison. Ma Hongjun, forget it, Fatty it is. It seems that I can't get rid of this title. Oscar was not to be outdone. Although my martial soul didn't evolve, its size has increased, and the strength of my martial soul has doubled. I'll call it Big Sausage. Mine didn't change much, but the strength of my martial soul has increased by almost 2 times, Xiao Wu said. 2 times? Everyone was shocked. Their strongest martial soul had only increased by 1 time. Xiao Wu's martial soul had increased by 2 times, which was equivalent to 3 times the original. This yearning broken red sausage was really powerful. There was no such thing as jealousy. At most, they just felt like they had eaten lemons in their mouths. Lin Feng found that the way Tang San looked at Xiao Wu was a little different. It seemed that he had discovered Xiao Wu's original body. To be honest, Lin Feng admired Tang San a little. Put yourself in his shoes. When you were in junior high school, you accidentally found out that your childhood sweetheart was a monster. At this time, would you choose? A. This matter is too crazy. You have to report it to the police immediately. B. Although this matter is crazy, you don't believe it, so you go up and ask. C. So you're a monster too? What a coincidence, so am I. D. It doesn't matter if you're a monster, as long as you're my childhood sweetheart. I don't care. E. Other situations fill in independently. Obviously, Tang San's choice was D. He didn't show it at all, and his emotions were controlled very well. Even in the original work, he could resist asking. Lin Feng really admired such a ruthless person, twice as normal. The yearning broken red sausage is an herb that's close to divine grade. It's also the strongest among all the herbs just now. It's not bad that it has such an effect, Tang San explained. At this time, Ning Rongrong asked, Third brother, what about you? You ate 3 immortal herbs. Did anything change? These 3 herbs of mine are all auxiliary immortal grade herbs. They can strengthen the martial spirit, but it's very small. It's mainly to improve one's cultivation aptitude. In the future, my cultivation speed should be the fastest among all of you. After saying that, Tang Sen added, except for Feng Ge. Yeah, Feng Ge is too amazing. Everyone exclaimed. By the way, how many immortal herbs did Feng Ge eat? Tang Sen had eaten 3. What about Lin Feng? Everyone was slightly curious. Well, there aren't many. About 20 of them. Everyone. Chapter 205. 20 stalks. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their hearts were filled with curses. According to Tang San, 1 stalk of a mortal herb could allow them to absorb a soul sage. Feng Ge had 20 stalks. Wasn't that equivalent to eating 20 soul sages? Big Brother Feng was indeed Big Brother Feng. No wonder he beat all of them by himself. This kind of strength was really terrifying. It's only 20 stocks. It's not a big deal. Lin Feng smiled faintly. He didn't take it to heart at all. Listen, this was what a monster should say. At this moment, although the crowd didn't know what Lin Feng's behavior was called, they felt that it was awesome. In the future, they would also say something like this. All right, it's just a small matter. Everyone, report your soul power rank now. Lin Feng ordered. Everyone reported their soul power ranks one after another. Finally, Lin Feng summarized them all together. Tang San, rank 39, Blue-Silver Grass Martial Soul. Xiao Wu, rank 40, Softbone Demon Rabbit Martial Soul. Ning Rongrong, rank 30, Nine Treasures Glazed Pagoda Martial Soul. Zhu Zhuqing, rank 30, Holy Spiritual Cat Martial Soul. Oscar, rank 39, Big Sausage Martial Soul. Dai Mubai, rank 40, Evil-Eyed White Tiger Martial Soul. Ma Hongjun, rank 30, Fire Phoenix Martial Soul. These rank 30 and rank 40 soul masters had accumulated a lot of medicinal power in their bodies. After obtaining soul rings, they would probably be able to break through many ranks with the help of the soul rings. Xiao Wu and Dai Mubai might be a little less. After all, they were soul ancestors. However, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ma Hongjun would probably be able to break through to rank 37 and above. As for Oscar and Tang San, the two rank 39 soul masters, although they hadn't broken through yet, they weren't far away. Because the medicinal effect was still very strong, if the two of them continue to cultivate here, they would probably be able to break through to level 40 within 5 days. Originally, Lin Feng wanted to bring them into the forest to hunt for soul rings today. Now, they could only wait for a few more days. However, it just so happened that they could cultivate for a few more days and stabilize the soul power in their bodies. Right, there's also Grandmaster. Grandmaster is now rank 30 and needs to obtain a soul ring. He'll follow them to the forest in a few days. As for his martial soul, Luo Sanpao, it hadn't changed at all. Most likely, the herb he ate was the one that helped him become a soul exalt. Just like that, the group of people continued to cultivate. Of course, Lin Feng couldn't just wait here. He told everyone that he would be back in 5 days and left immediately. Where to? Of course, it was the ice fire Yin-Yang well. On one hand, he could continue to eat immortal herbs, and on the other hand, he could take advantage of Douluo. At this moment, in the Shrek Academy, Ning Rongrong really wanted to return to the sect. After all, her 9 treasures glazed pagoda was very important. Also, she had asked Tang San for some hidden weapons. These things were very important to the sect. However, after thinking about it, she wasn't in a hurry to return. On one hand, the medicinal effect hadn't dissipated yet, and her cultivation speed was still very fast. This could be considered a small opportunity. On the other hand, they were preparing to go out to hunt soul beasts in 5 days. At the very least, she had to wait until she obtained her 3rd soul ring before she left. Right? She suddenly remembered that she still had a bet with Lin Feng. She had been too excited before and had forgotten about it. However, now that she thought about it, she was too embarrassed to mention it. Lin Feng had given her such a great opportunity. She didn't know how to repay him. She was too embarrassed to mention this bet. For now, it was better to cultivate properly. Everyone else had different thoughts. Some of them were thinking about their own clans, while others were thinking about what kind of soul rings they would obtain in the forest in a few days. Xiao Wu, on the other hand, was thinking about how to find an opportunity to leave and obtain her 4th soul ring. Tang San, on the other hand, was wondering if he should tell Lin Feng about Xiao Wu. Lin Feng didn't know about these thoughts. At this moment, he had already arrived at the ice fire Yin-Yang well. He continued to ripen the herbs before he ate them. As for his avatar, it naturally went to spar with Douluo. Just like that, 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these 5 days, Lin Feng earned more than 90 million experience points. On the first day, he earned about 25 million. After a few days, he earned less and less. On the last day, he only earned 10 million. In just 5 days, the rate at which he earned experience points dropped drastically. He estimated that after a month, he would only earn less than 1,000,000 experience points per day. Lin Feng was mentally prepared for this. He had guessed that this would happen. He had set a goal for himself to earn 2,000,000 experience points per day. If he couldn't reach this goal, it wouldn't be worth Lin Feng's time. Now that he had around 10,000,000 experience points per day, Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. When his experience points dropped below 5,000,000, it would be time for him to find a new path. Early in the morning, Lin Feng left the ice fire Yin well. He didn't return to Heaven Do City immediately. Instead, he went to a small mountain in the south of the city. He used the 1,000 trickery ruler to conceal himself and prepared to break through his soul rings. Lin Feng had more than 150,000,000 experience points. He calculated that it was just enough for him to break through his 5th and 6th soul rings to the 100,000-year level. Without hesitation, he spent 130,000,000 experience points to strengthen his 2 soul rings to the 99,999-year level. After that, he spent 20,000,000 experience points to instantly break through his 2 soul rings. For a moment, enormous soul power fluctuations surged in the space enveloped by the 1,000 trickery ruler. Xiaoying had been following Lin Feng all this time. Now that his 200,000-year soul rings had broken through, Lin Feng deliberately guided Xiaoying to absorb all of the energy. Its aura began to rise rapidly. 20,000, 30,000. Finally, it reached 50,000 before the energy slowly subsided. The energy of soul rings was very pure, and Lin Feng's soul rings were even purer. This was why Xiaoying was able to improve so quickly. Lin Feng had a feeling that if the energy of his soul rings was absorbed by Xiaoying every time he broke through his soul rings, it could use this energy to break through and evolve again. After all, this energy was too pure. It would definitely affect Xiaoying greatly. However, Lin Feng didn't pay much attention to Xiaoying. He quickly sensed the increase in his own strength. Now that Lin Feng had 400,000-year soul rings and 200,000-year soul bones, his strength was boundlessly strong. Ignoring everything else, the main thing was the 2 new 100,000-year soul skills. Lin Feng carefully sensed them, and his face was full of shock. Lin Feng had obtained his 5th soul ring from a netherworld civet, and its soul skill was netherworld energy. But now, Lin Feng felt that it couldn't be called netherworld energy anymore. It should be changed to netherworld body. Although his speed was still 10 times faster compared to his previous half-shadow state, Lin Feng was now in a full shadow state. Unless there was a soul skill that specifically countered shadows, it was impossible to hurt him. Chapter 206. The nether body was strong, but it still had a weakness. It couldn't be attacked, and once it was attacked, it would reveal its true form. Although it would disappear very quickly if it didn't attack continuously, in the eyes of an expert, this period of time was an opportunity. In Lin Feng's opinion, only a soul skill that could hit you, and you couldn't hit me, was a good soul skill. Although this soul skill didn't have a cooldown, it was still a bit lacking. If others knew what Lin Feng was thinking, they would probably curse him to death. You're still not satisfied with this godly soul skill? No one else can do this. After Lin Feng finished looking at his 5th soul skill, he quickly looked at his 6th soul skill. Lin Feng had obtained his 6th soul skill from a lightning falcon. Back then, it was called lightning wings. Now, Lin Feng felt that it could be called the power of lightning. This was because when he used it, Lin Feng would become the god of lightning. His entire body would be filled with the power of lightning, and he could even summon heavenly lightning. The main thing was that it could summon heavenly lightning. This was the most powerful skill. If a heavenly lightning struck, the weak Douluo would probably be severely injured. This kind of attack power was already very terrifying. Lin Feng felt that this soul skill was pretty good. Name: Lin Feng Martial Soul. 1,000 Trickster Ruler, Immeasurable Flower Soul Power. Rank 82, plus 1,000 Trickster Ruler Soul Ring. None Special Soul Skill. Avatar Immeasurable Flower Soul Ring. Snow Lotus 10,000 Years. Plus Soul Skill. Life Bloom Ghost Head Stalking Spider 10,000 Years. plus soul skill. Shadow bind armored bear 10,000 years, plus soul skill. Armored demonic bear transformation fire weaver monkey 14,154 years, plus soul skill. Raging flame wreath nether civet 100 million years, plus soul skill. Nether body lightning falcon 100 million years, plus soul skill. Power of lightning wind dragon 100 million years, plus soul skill. Martial soul true body chicken blood shadow beast 100 million years, plus soul skill. Teleport can change position with avatar soul bone. Wind dragon left leg bone 100 million years, plus soul skill 1. Hadhar's soul skill 2. Wind invisibility chinkoin blood shadow beast 100 million years, plus soul skill 1. Spatial imprisonment soul skill 2. Blood fiend experience 5985412. He glanced at his own interface. The numbers of 100,000 years made him feel quite comfortable, but the 5 million experience points were a bit unsightly. Was S's have T have 9 souls S T T T T test T T T T T T T T S T T T T T T S buys ST. Otherwise, if his soul power rank was too high, it would be very difficult for him to obtain experience points on Douluo's continent. Speaking of which, Lin Feng hadn't meditated for a long time. This was a good habit that he had to maintain in the future. After waiting for Xiao Ying to stabilize its cultivation, Lin Feng brought it straight to the Shrek Academy. At this moment, everyone in Shrek Academy was very excited. Tang San and Oscar were both level 40. As long as they walked through the setting sun forest, all of them would be able to take a big step forward. Putting aside the fact that they were all soul exalts, they would have 4 more soul ancestors. After all, they were a team with an average age of 13 years old. There is still more than half a year until the Continental Elite Academy tournament. If he cultivated diligently, it was possible for all of them to become soul ancestors. After all, their bodies contained a huge amount of medicinal power at this time. According to Tang San, these level 30 players would at least reach level 37 after breaking through. After half a year, they would advance by 3 levels. In the eyes of ordinary people, this might be a very difficult thing, or even an impossible thing. However, in their eyes, it was just a matter of sprinkling water. Therefore, everyone was very excited at this moment. The Grandmaster's eyes were also bright and full of expression. He was about to witness the rise of a miracle team. Lin Feng quickly returned to the academy. After a few words of conversation, the prepared group walked out of the city together. This time, there were 3 people leading the group: Flanders, Zhao Wuji, and Lu Erlong. Not long after they left the academy, Xue Qinghe received a report from his subordinates. Xue Qinghe had always been paying attention to the Shrek Academy. He knew that it had changed its name, and he also knew that Tang San had been captured. A few days ago, he personally came to offer his help, but he was tactfully rejected. From then on, he knew that this was a group of extremely arrogant people. Now that they had taken root in Heavendoe City, Xue Qinghe's plan to subdue them had completely failed. Now that he received news that they were leaving the academy and heading towards the East Gate, could it be that they were going to the Setting Sun Forest to obtain soul rings? When he thought of this, he was a little envious. This group of people was really too talented. How good would it be if he could subdue them? Unfortunately, he couldn't subdue them. Furthermore, he couldn't do anything even if he wanted to. The Golden Iron Triangle was very strong. Only a titled Douluo could subdue them. It seemed that he could only carry out his second plan. It wasn't to subdue them, but to establish a good relationship with them and establish a good relationship with the Shrek Academy. If necessary, he could even put on a show in front of the entire city. In any case, as long as he didn't lose face, it was a good thing to gain their favor. If he could create an image of the Shrek Academy as an academy that supported him, even if he couldn't subdue them alone, it would still be very beneficial to him in his quest for the throne. After thinking for a while, he began to plan for his image. Although Heavendoe City wasn't far from the Setting Sun Forest, it was still a distance. It would take about 3 to 4 hours. On the way, Lin Feng told everyone about the Aha monster. He also taught them the frequency of soul power and asked them to shout out loud. In the beginning, everyone was skeptical about Lin Feng's words, especially the master. He had studied martial souls for a long time and had never heard of any aha monster. However, after Lin Feng demonstrated it, everyone was stunned. That special sound wave caused the soul power in everyone's body to vibrate. They felt as if they were being wrapped up in a sea of soul power. If they could meditate under such circumstances, their cultivation speed would definitely increase. For a moment, everyone hurried to learn from Lin Feng. However, if they didn't practice, they wouldn't know. Once they started practicing, they gave off the impression that they were lunatics. There was noise everywhere. Lin Feng was very interested in this scene. This reminded him of some people who were learning how to sing. As he listened, he began to sing along in his mind. Oh, this feels good. If my brain can sing, then my mouth can sing as well. Then when I open my mouth, the sound is like a pig being slaughtered. It's almost infuriating. It was clear that everyone was in a situation where their brain could sing, but their hands couldn't. Chapter 207. You can't yell like that. You have to use your soul power to control the frequency. Otherwise, you won't be able to make such a sound. Lin Feng demonstrated once again. Everyone nodded and continued to try. In the end, other than Tang San, everyone else failed. Lin Feng didn't say anything and gave Xiao a knock on the head. Little girl, I told you to practice with Xiao San. Now look at him and then look at you. How much are you missing? You really don't know. The others had started learning soul power control much later than the two of them. It was understandable that they couldn't control it well. Xiao had learned it with Tang San. She deserved to be scolded if she couldn't do it now. Fengge, don't hit me. I was wrong. Xiao acted like a spoiled child. At this moment, Tang San said, I tried it. If I shout by myself, I won't be able to calm down and meditate. Fengge, how did you do it? You have to practice more. Lin Feng thought for a moment and said, I think you guys will need a few months to get used to it. Only then will it be meaningful. Otherwise, others will have to shout at you to practice. Soul masters couldn't be compared to each other. When Lin Feng was 13, he could already beat the titled Douluo, but Tang San and the others were just soul ancestors. Lin Feng knew this. The difference in strength between the two was too great. There was also a huge gap in their control of their bodies. Lin Feng could learn and adapt in an instant, but Tang San and the others might need a few months. Therefore, from the beginning, Lin Feng wanted to use soul tools to achieve this. He didn't want them to meditate while cultivating. After all, they were still young. It was the best time for them to cultivate. If they delayed learning this shout for a few months, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. As he thought, Lin Feng said, That's why I don't recommend that you guys learn it. My idea is to use a soul tool to emit such a scream. I'm not sure if there's such a technique. Lin Feng hadn't studied soul tools in depth, but he knew that the speakers in the Great Soul Arena were soul tools. Lin Feng felt that as long as he modified the speaker and played the recording on loop, then maintained a steady flow of soul power, he should be able to succeed. Of course, this was only Lin Feng's guess. Whether it would work or not, he had not tried it yet. How is this possible? Our continent's soul tool technology isn't up to par. Other than the spatial soul tools left behind from a long time ago, most of the soul tools we produce are for civilian use. Grandmaster was the first to speak. That's not realistic. I've never heard of such a soul tool before. Flanders added. Lin Feng said, Can't the speakers in the Great Soul Arena produce sound? I feel that there's still a great chance of success if we use it to modify it. Transform? How? Grandmaster hurriedly asked, his face full of curiosity. Before Lin Feng spoke, Grandmaster didn't even think about the speakers, let alone modify them. However, Tang San on the side had a flash of inspiration and said, I understand Fengge probably wants to record this sound into the speakers and then play it. As long as the speakers can keep playing it, it'll be fine. Lin Feng nodded with a gratified expression. Xiao San is right. That's it. Yes. Why didn't I think of this? If that's the case, the feasibility is very high. Grandmaster clapped his hands, very excited. This kind of sound can increase the speed of soul power cultivation by 10%. If it can be created, It will have a major impact on the entire Soul Master world. Grandmaster really admired Lin Feng's little brain at this time. Previously, he came up with a cultivation method to control soul power, which allowed people to maintain a cultivation state anytime and anywhere. Now, this kind of idea popped up again. These 2 points were enough to make Lin Feng the most dazzling star in the Soul Master world. Because this kind of thing was unprecedented in history, if he went to the Martial Spirit Palace, he might be conferred as the Martial Spirit Palace's holy son and leave his name in history. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Flanders sighed with emotion. Not only him, Zhao Wuji, Lu Erlong, and the others looked at Lin Feng and Tang San with admiration. Tang San was a little embarrassed by the stares. This was Feng Ji's idea. He was just following along. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was very emotional in his heart. The limitations of the era were too great. Grandmaster and the others couldn't even think of such a simple, innovative idea. This couldn't be said to be stupid. It could only be said that the era limited them. Lin Feng realized that in Douluo's world, no one seemed to have seriously studied external methods to increase the speed of meditation. There were research labs in those academies, but what they researched were meditation techniques and the like. Things like meditation techniques didn't have a big impact on the cultivation speed of soul power. It was estimated that the difference between the best meditation techniques and the ones used by the masses was already very impressive. Moreover, no matter how good these meditation techniques were, it couldn't compare to the difference in martial souls, and it couldn't compare to the difference in innate soul power. Most importantly, those good meditation techniques wouldn't be popularized and would only be in the hands of a few people. This wasn't a matter of selfishness or not. It was a matter of the era. Think about it. If you invented something good in the modern era that was beneficial to all the people, what would you do? It was definitely unrealistic to hand it over selflessly. Generally speaking, you would apply for a patent and then publicize it, waiting for people to come and buy it. Then, some enterprises would produce it and sell it to the world. You would make money. It was a win-win situation. But in Douluo's world, it was different. Generally, only the rich and nobles had the funds to research these things. And the results of the research were deliberately not disseminated because they didn't want the commoners to become stronger. This was a kind of backward feudal thinking. In this kind of environment, where would innovation come from? Thinking about the history of the world in his previous life, the feudal era lasted for about 2,000 years, and the advancement of technology was slow. Later on, because of the changes in the era, in a short 1 to 200 years, technology had undergone earth-shaking changes. This was the importance of the era. Lin Feng felt that it was good that Martial Spirit Palace wanted to overthrow the two empires. However, it was absolutely unnecessary for them to build another one after overthrowing the two empires. Therefore, Lin Feng felt that when he became strong enough, he could play role play. For example, he could play the role of the emperor of Douluo's world. When the time came, he could change the strategy of the entire continent. Some backward policies and ideas would be abolished, and advanced ideas would be instilled. In the end, the light of the righteous path would definitely descend on this land. Right, this Douluo's world couldn't be a square world, right? It should be a planet. When the time came, he would have to go around and see if there were any other continents. Chapter 208. As for the speaker modification, Flender and the others kept it in mind. If it weren't for the fact that helping everyone obtain soul rings was more important, Grandmaster would have gone back to prepare for research. There were still people in the new Shrek Academy who researched soul tools. Although their research was very shallow, they still had the equipment. When they returned, they could directly research and develop soul tools. However, for now, the group still rushed towards the Setting Sun Forest. The Setting Sun Forest wasn't very big compared to the Star Dogray Forest. However, it was still too vast for soul masters. Not counting the threat of soul beasts in the middle, it would take a normal soul master 2 days to cross it. It was estimated that it stretched for over 1,000 kilometers. After stepping into the Setting Sun Forest, no one was nervous. With 3 soul sages protecting them, wouldn't hunting soul beasts be easy? According to Grandmaster's theory, the maximum age of a third soul ring was 1,760 years, while the maximum age of a fourth soul ring was 5,000 years. They didn't need to go into the depths. At most, they could stay in the middle region. In the forest, everyone consciously stood in formation. Even if there wasn't any danger, they still had to have the most basic attitude. Lin Feng had told them that soul masters had to be vigilant at all times, even in an absolutely safe environment, unless you had invincible strength. After walking for a while, Tang Xin slowly came to Lin Feng's side. Fenggu, how much soul ring should I absorb for my 4 soul ring? Teacher told me to be safe and absorb those under 7,000 years. However, I feel that I can absorb at least 8,000 years. What's 8,000 years? You can directly absorb 10,000 years. Lin Feng's tone was as if he expected better from Tang San. In the original story, Tang San's 4th soul ring was already 10,000 years. Now, he was much stronger than he was in the original story. According to Lin Feng's thoughts, he could even absorb 15,000 years. Isn't 10,000 years too high? Tang Xin thought that 9,000 years would be enough. 10,000 years was too risky. After patting Tang San's shoulder, Lin Feng suddenly stopped everyone. What are you afraid of? Just do it. As Shrek's captain, Lin Feng, Flanders, and the others had to obey his orders in this forest. After coughing twice, Lin Feng said, Grandmaster's theoretical limits aren't bad, but that's for ordinary soul masters. You guys are all monsters, and you've even consumed immortal herbs. Of course, you can't use the standards of ordinary people to measure you. So, Lin Feng swept his gaze over everyone. I'll set a goal for all of you. A soul elder's soul ring is within 3,000 years, while a soul ancestor's is within 8,000 years. Xiao San is a bit special. His goal is 10,000 years. Xiao Gang, will something go wrong? Flanders hurriedly looked at the master. The others also looked over. Although they were very confident in Lin Feng and felt that what Lin Feng said was correct, if the master had a different opinion, they still wanted to listen to him. The master frowned and muttered, Xiao Feng is right. My theory is only applicable to ordinary people. You guys have been modified by the immortal herbs, so you'll be able to adapt to stronger years. However, I think that this increase in years is a bit too much. A soul elder's soul ring can be raised to 2,000 years, and a soul ancestor's soul ring can be raised to 6,000 years. As for Xiao San, because of his external soul bone, it's a bit more special. 8,000 years should be enough. The master was more conservative and cut Lin Feng's estimate by almost half. Previously, he estimated Tang San's soul ring to be 7,000 years. Now, it had only been raised by 1,000 years. Flanders also nodded. It's better to be safe. After all, you guys are already geniuses. Teacher doesn't want anything to happen to you guys. Lu Erlong and Zhao Wuji actually had different opinions. Their personalities weren't as steady as Flanders's. In their opinion, although Lin Feng's words were a bit radical, if they could endure it, it would be of great help to the children. Under such circumstances, it was still okay to take a gamble. However, before they could express their opinions, Lin Feng said, Don't worry. With me here, nothing will happen to them. Just relax and absorb it. Hearing this, everyone suddenly thought of Lin Feng's martial soul's powerful recovery ability. Ning Rongrong's eyes lit up. That's right. With Fenggu here, we'll definitely be able to absorb it. I want to absorb a 3,000-year soul ring. Why was there a limit to the number of years of a soul ring? It was because the energy of a soul ring was too large, so the body couldn't withstand it and would explode. Lin Feng's soul skill was very strong. As long as one didn't seek death by absorbing a high-year soul ring that would cause one's body to explode, they would generally be fine. Therefore, the number of years Lin Feng gave was very reasonable. Fenggu, I also want a 3,000-year soul ring, Oscar said with a grin. The others were also very excited as they talked about the number of years they wanted. Only Xiao Wu, who was at the side, was a little worried. She was thinking about how to find an excuse to leave when the time came. Seeing this scene, the master and Flanders pondered for a while. Then, the master said, Since Xiao Feng has said so, then we'll do as he says. However, a soul beast that matches your martial soul isn't that easy to find. As long as it's a suitable soul beast of the same age, you can absorb it. The master was right. The age was one thing, but the suitability was another. Even if Lin Feng was very strong, he wouldn't be able to find a soul beast that matched their martial souls in a short period of time. Therefore, when the time came, they would just have to wait and see. However, thinking about it this way, the immeasurable flower and 1000G ruler that Lin Feng's system gave were really amazing. It was a non-sexual martial soul, which meant that it didn't belong to any known martial soul. It was suitable for all soul beasts. As long as one obtained a soul ring according to one's preferences, it would be fine. However, Lin Feng felt that his 1000G ruler was more special than the immeasurable flower. When he obtained a soul ring in the future, its soul skill might be different from his immeasurable flower. However, this was all for later. For now, Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry to obtain a soul ring for his 1000G ruler before he obtained his 9th soul ring with the immeasurable flower. He even had an idea to wait until he went to Sea God's Island to participate in the Sea God's trial. He would strive to obtain 9 God-bestowed soul rings. One had to know that the age of a God-bestowed soul ring was calculated according to one's body's tolerance. Lin Feng estimated that when the time came, he would be able to obtain a few 2 to 300,000-year soul rings. A 100,000-year soul ring would require 10,000 experience every year. This would save him a lot of experience. However, Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. Sea God's Island wasn't a place for him to go now. When his strength reached a certain limit on the continent of Douluo, the results would be better. Feng Gu, can I really obtain a 10,000-year soul ring? Tang San was a little hesitant. After all, the theoretical age of his 4th soul ring was 5,000 years. Now that it had doubled, he was a little panicked. Lin Feng chuckled. A 10,000-year soul ring is nothing. My 2nd soul ring is 10,000 year. You're panicking about your 4th? Everyone,